ーが今ここに。エクスカイザーとキングローダーが巨大合体。勇者エクスカイザー最強のロボキングエクスカイザー。勇者エクスカイザー。新幹線がブルーレイカーとグリーンレイカーに。これが驚異の左右合体だ。ウルトラレイカー登場。ゴッドマックスもすごいぞ。勇者エクスカイザーマックスチーム登場。スカイマックス、ダッシュマックス、ドリルマックス、迫力の3体合体。戦えゴッドマックス。ウルトラレイカーもすごいぞ。勇者エクスカイザー。ドラゴンカイザー登場。キングエクスカイザーと超巨大合体グレートエクスカイザー。フルパワーで攻撃だ。超巨大合体グレートエクスカイザー。三段変形ダイノガイストもすごいぞ。
緊急指令ギャレオンガイガーに変形だ。行くぞファイナルフュージョン承認。ドリルガオライナーガオステルスガオ合体だ。見ろディバイディングドライバー。超人合体ガオガイガー。行くぞ。今ならこのディバイディングドライバーがついてるぞ。
街の平和は任せろ。左右合体潮流人。
ボルホックガンドーベルガングルー合体せよ。腕を上げろ音を出せ。激音合体ビッグボルホック。キャンペーン実施中。ハローミーはマイクサウンダス13世。レッツゴーマイク。オッケーシステムチェンジ。サウンドスタート。一緒に戦おう。サウンドロボマイク&バリバリ
見ろ超巨大ロボキングジェイダー。宇宙戦艦ジェイアグリ変形だ。宇宙に敵なし超ド級合体キングジェイダー。
よみがえる熱血伝説マグナティラノからマグナタウラーへ。そしてマグナバスターザウラージェットゴーザウラーと合体。トミー熱血武装マグナタウラー。復活最強の戦士。恐竜ロボからジェットへ。そしてグランザウラーへ熱血進化。ゴーザウラーマグナザウラーグランザウラー。3つの熱血が時空を超え今一つに。トミー超熱血合体キングゴーザウラー。
発進。鳳凰獣王剣王雷神王に無敵合体。邪悪帝国から地球を守るのだ。無敵合体雷神王。トミーから雷神ソードもよろしく。伝説は今始まる。ドラゴンからロボへ。無敵変形白竜王雷神王
合体。完成。ゴッドライジン王。限界を超えた超無敵ロボトミーから登場。
未来合体ダルタニアス、ベラリオス、ガンパー、アトラウス登場。21世紀のメカミライオン、巨大ロボに完全合体。今衝撃の合体革命、クロースイン。未来ロボダルタニアス完成。未来合体デラックス超合金ダルタニアス、コピーより発売中。
今こそ復活。5体の守護獣たち、見よこの勇姿。進化せよ守護獣たち。ドラゴンシーザー。守護獣たちの進化は続く。いでよドラゴンシーザー。守護獣たちの進化は続く。究極を極めた進め重騎士。
小さな体に力を秘めた強い、重い、精密なメカ、これが噂の超合金。マジンガー Z コピーより新発売。
ゲッターロボ G ドラゴン、ライガー、ポセイドン。戦闘準備完了。人類の敵百鬼帝国を攻撃せよ。ライガーミサイル、トマホーク、ブーメラン、ストロングミサイル。ジャンボマシンダーゲッターロボ G ドラゴン、ライガー、ポセイドン、ポピーより新発売。
チェンジゲッターゴー。あの迫力を君の手に。デラックスゲッターロボ GO 豊かより。ゲッター GO 合体。チェンジゲッターあの興奮と迫力を君の手に。戦え僕らのヒーロー。デラックスゲッターロボ GO、 そしてゲッターショー、ゲッターガイ豊かより。
ダンボスコンビネーション、ダンボスゴー、ダンボスゴー、ダンボスゴー、チェンジ。
宇宙の侵略者を迎え撃つためにコンビネーションロボザンボット3、ここに誕生。3つのメカが1つになってザンボット3。
エースフォロー、アンパンチ、エースミサイル。
ザンボット3コンビネーションジュニアクローバーから発売中。
今日も戦い続けるザンボット3、今クローバーから。宇宙要塞ソロモンからテキサス、そして光る空へ。恐怖のモビルアーマービグザム。 赤い彗星シャア専用ザク。ニュータイプの運命は RX78 ガンダム無敵のメカニズム。パーフェクトコレクション機動戦士ガンダムバンダイのプラモデル。黒獅子、赤獅子、そして3代の獅子たちよ。今眠りから覚める5台の未来獣ロボットメカの限界に挑戦。全く新しい奇跡の超合体システムついに完成。未来獣合体5ライオン、未来に挑戦するポピーより絶賛発売中。
Reactor engaged. Traction locked. All go.
Hello, hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. So far, no scuff. We'll see how that ticks up. It won't. It'll keep being a problem. So, hope you all enjoyed the new commercials, because this month is Mecha May, where for every working day, so main weekday, I'm trying to get out a single short of a giant robot of some sort. Today's is late because I was expecting to get some certain parts in, but didn't happen. So after the stream, I'll be filming today's, and it'll go up late, but better late than never, as they say. So as always, you already beat me to it. Magma Paint, hope you're going to do well, but Magma Paint also beat everybody else to it. It is housekeeping time. So, what do we have to discuss for housekeeping? Everything's on fire forever. And what do I mean by that? Well, the other day, a friend of mine pops in my DMs, and he shows me somebody's Twitter account. And he said, "Dude, is that your house?" Now, to be very clear about a couple things here. The person I'm about to bring up is an individual who has been obsessing over me for quite some time, did an entire video that was probably one of the worst ever, is a disgraced SCC member, and has been trying to get my attention for quite some time, and up until now I hadn't given it to him because it's obvious she's a clout-hungry piece of garbage. But when I see somebody posting my house on their banner, that's going to get my attention. Here's the interesting thing, right? People will say, well, Lio, that's fair game, you dox yourself. And to a point, I can understand that viewpoint. The problem is, I'm not dumb, and I know that's an attempt at a power move. So this individual goes by the name of Dead City or Undead City or whatever. It used to be known as Undead Meowth. So I find that out, and I start giving him grief in Himpleton server. But then my friend passes me a whole bunch of other things, finds out this dude really, or this girl, sorry, my apologies. This girl really, really, really likes animal dick. I mean, really likes animal dick. So I start pressing her on that, and I start bullying her about it. And she does not take it well. She first tries the strategy of, well, all that happened when I was a teenager. Not specifying what type of teenager, obviously. So I started pressing. I'm like, all right, how old are you? Now, to be clear, I knew how old they were when I asked this. And they avoided it. They avoided it. They threw up a smoke screen with the idea that infamous SCC kid toucher, what's his name? V Omega. Oh, did something happen? No. Guess not. That infamous kid toucher V Omega groomed them into it at the age of, well, they wanted us to think they were a minor. If they weren't, they were an adult. And then try to justify all the behavior. So yay. Yay to that. We're probably going to have some buffering going on here. It's happening to do, too, a lot. I'm not really sure why. Open widget. What's it telling me? Enough video. Oh, of course it's not enough video. But we'll change that in a little bit. We'll change that. That's not something I can handle, or change, rather. So what they decided to do was they ran out of Himpleton's server and then put together like a super thrown together response that, number one, tries to make it claim like I've called all furries zoophiles. I haven't. That's insane. And secondly, completely obfuscates everything. And tries to call me a creep for, and I quote, A-logging them. Now, if they do it to me, it's fine. But if I were to do it to them, that's a problem. That's a problem. But then, realizing that wasn't working, they tried to paint it like I'm a creep, and that I posted that stuff, censored, by the way, or rather with the spoiler tag, in a server that might have kids in it. Because if all else fails, blame Himpleton, I guess. Which, Himpleton obviously didn't take well, like I wouldn't either. And what's really interesting is, if you look at anything Himpleton covers, brother, I don't think there's a single topic Himpleton covered that's, like, safe for kids. So it's only a concern if there were kids in the server, if they could weaponize it against me. And, of course, the answer is no, there weren't any kids in the server. I don't think Himpleton's ever had kids in his server under, his knowledge. People lie about their ages. There's only so much you can do. So after that failed, now they're continuing to spiral. And, of course, a fellow dog diddler, Finnegan, the Red Panda, is in his inner comment section under the name The Dentist. Because that's all this person knows how to do. So I will be putting out a video pretty soon about this little loser bullying the living daylights out of him and talking about some of what they've done as they were a full-grown adult, like threatening to dox people, threatening people's families, threatening to send an underage person pornography, and a whole slew of other things they've done. I'm going to bury this person. I'm going to have the time of my life doing it. Now, do I have evidence that they're a predator? No, but zoophilia is the attraction, not the action. And it's going to be fun. This person wanted my attention. They've finally gotten it. I hope they're happy with it. If they're smart, they'll nuke and run, but they're not smart. But what are we dealing with today? What are we dealing with today, chat? Let's find out. Well, we have an individual that I'm sure all of you know about by the name of Kim Possible. I love Kim Possible a lot. And she resurfaced after like 6 months of not being around to put out something. Are you ready? One in the chat if you're ready to see this. It's my downfall. It's going to destroy me. I am undone. Hit one in the chat if you're ready to get into it. It's going to be amazing. Ooh, man, it is lagging behind, ain't it? Oh boy, there's the ones. There they are. So, let's go ahead and slip into something more reading appropriate. A safety report has been unleashed upon me to destroy me, to annihilate me at my core. Safety report, quote, LioConvoy, drama/commentary YouTuber. I don't think you can be a commentary YouTuber without talking about drama, and I don't think you can talk about drama without being a commentary YouTuber. Where is the appreciation of the toy reviews and the cartoon knowledge? Where is that? I never see toy reviewer /Thundercat historian /cartoon enjoyer /drama commentary YouTuber. I never get the full breadth of what I do on here, and it's very very disheartening. All right, very disheartening. I do a lot of toy reviews now, okay, but none of you watch. There's more people in this chat right now live than there are people who watch those toy reviews. But I do it for fun. So, we see my channel here. I'm like 20 from getting back to 20,000, which is neat. One of my Discords. And my backup Discord because I'm old and couldn't get it to work on mobile. And this infamous picture. I can never change now. Read first. The document is intended solely as a safety notice in bold for adjacent online communities. Well, which ones? Which dude, I'm connected to a lot of online communities. We're talking about like the anime sphere, we're talking about the cartoon sphere, we're talking about the Gundam sphere, the regular model kit sphere, the Super Robot sphere, the Transformer one, Darkwing Duck, Thundercats, 80s nostalgia, Ninja Turtles. I mean, come on. Beef of May, thank you for the 5. No liar, her name is Disney Adult Flips Burgers a lot. She'll never flip burgers. She'll never get a job. But yes, what adjacent online communities? Who should be in fear of me? And all my nefarious ne'er-do-wellness of, well, we'll get into that. No one should contact, harass, or engage with this individual. So never get my side of things. Which is fine. I'll tell you what it is regardless. Ooh. New matches for Transmetal Megatron. I'm trying to find a very special one. But anyways. The purpose is to present an unbiased report of events. Unbiased, you say. To promote safety, awareness, documentation, and preventive measures, not retaliation. That's a lie. And we'll get to that. Also, wanted to chat if you want to hear a fun burger flipping story. For best viewing, use a desktop. Google Docs can distort images on mobile, and you can distort the truth by lying. Content rating R. She found the bodies, chat. Due to discussions involving allegations connected to a sexual assault case. You mean a fake one? Privacy concerns, yeah, because that's rated R. And sensitive interpersonal conduct topics, not a rated R. Thank you, Deanne Draxon, for the $5. I wouldn't trust KP to flip burgers. She burned the place down. All right, getting some ones. So, I'll finish this small section here, and then I'll tell you the story. While no explicit or graphic material is presented, the subject matter revolves around mature themes related to allegations of sexual misconduct and community safety. I don't know if it's a rape accusation, which is what it was. I wouldn't say it's sexual misconduct. It's just rape. Misconduct is like for less serious things, but then again, she never took it all that seriously. Reader discretion is advised. This report is intended for documentation, education, and preventative safety awareness purposes. Due to the combination of privacy, consent, and potential criminal implications, I'm going to jail, chat. The material rises above PG-13 sensitivity and enters a higher risk category. Does she realize that not all crimes are, like, horrific and that kids can't be aware of it? Like, speeding's a crime, technically, depending on how fast you're going. Like, it's not going to scar a kid to see somebody speeding. They think it's cool as heck, but it ain't going to scar them. Platinum Amex, thank you for $10. To quote what I said to her on Twitter, hello, I'd like a McDouble with a large fry and Diet Coke. Oh, and some 6-piece McNuggets, please. What do you mean, why am I asking you? You work here, miss. True. So, time for the story. So, fun Lio lore. My very first taxable job was Dairy Queen when I was 14. So, back in the Paleolithic, right? It's a job that my brother was also at, although I worked the front counter and he was working the grill. Now, fun thing about my brother, you look at him now in his mid-40s, large family, preacher, runs his own church, does all that stuff. He was a menace as a teenager. And one of the funny things he'd do when he'd work the grill is he'd take the pickles and he'd fling them up onto the ceiling just to see how many he could get up there. Now, he didn't put them on the burgers afterwards, all right? But he'd just do crap like that. So when I think burger flipping, that's what I think about him. Just as a teenager, just standing back there, just in the lull times, throwing pickles up the ceiling. Never got caught with it either. Family Guy Funny Moments, thank you for $2. She is like a cartoon villain always returning. Well, it depends on what you do to that villain. Metalman $5. I can't believe KP destroyed Lio so totally and utterly. I mean, true. We're so utterly destroyed, we're almost halfway to the goal. But anyways. Who is LioConvoy? Wait a minute. Why is LioConvoy 2 words, but then 1 word? For the record, despite the fact that my channel's @ is Lio_convoy, the word is 1 word in relation to me. Unbiased, though. Totally well researched. Was his best customer Bubble Bass? Actually, this is before Bubble Bass existed, I think. Somebody do the research. Tell me, what year did the episode of Bubble Bass premiere? You rode mammoths to work, Lio? No, we ate those. We used the Flintstone car. LioConvoy. We're asking, who is LioConvoy? LioConvoy is a commentary creator known for covering online controversies. The Asylum Files, thank you for $5. I always thought KP was 1 patty short of a hamburger, but this is next level. True. Often positioning himself as pragmatic and outcome-focused rather than emotionally driven. Okay, here's the kicker. I'm going to let you know a little secret. It's going to upset some people. Chat, are you my little Lio boo-boos, are you paying attention? Every human being on this planet is emotionally driven. Even the people who say they're logically driven, they're driven by logic because that's emotionally driven. Mac and Cheese for $10, thank you. I wonder how much of this doc was written by ChatGPT. I put it through one of the scanners. It didn't pick anything up, but then again, it's also beyond the limits of most of the free scanners, so I'm not really sure. But probably at some point. April 21st, 1999. Actually, then yeah. Yeah, Bubble Bass may very well... Yeah, he was. Bubble Bass came out before I got that job, so possibly. Maybe he did serve Bubble Bass. I don't know. There's this one person, by the way, on Twitter. Love her to death, because I don't know her personally, but like, love her work. Like, she constantly ships herself with that guy. That's even got some of the SpongeBob storyboard artists to draw commissions of her with that guy. It's some funny stuff, man. Thank you, Vector the Groovy Crocodile, for the $5 super chat. Ah, some tasty KP-induced migraines in the evening. Trust me, I know. His content frequently emphasizes personal responsibility, skepticism towards unverified claim, and the potential real-world consequences of public accusations. This is true. While he is not a journalist by training, I'm also not a journalist in general, he often frames his commentary using advisory or cautionary language that can resemble professional or legal guidance. Can somebody point me to any time legal guidance has just put a trigger warning on something? Please? And I'm pretty sure in legal and professional guidance, like, they never call you a terminally online turbo dork or tell you to kill yourself. Be better if they did, but they don't. KP calling on the Moonstar of Limbo. Oh, that's a deep cut. It's appreciated, but God, like KP would be able to watch a show like that. She has no taste. Moonstar of Limbo. In past online discussions, Lio has been associated with several controversies within the commentary and art community spaces. Brother, you don't talk about drama and aren't involved in some sort of controversy. Never happens. These have generally involved participation in extended confrontation calls or group discussions addressing alleged misconduct in online communities. That can be true. One widely referenced example is the January 2023 Rosa call. Somebody put it on the bingo card. A multi-hour Discord discussion that drew criticism from some observers who felt the tone became excessively confrontational towards a vulnerable individual. Third-party coverage example here. I'm going to get mean for just a second. All right, chat, if you want me to get mean for just a second, type 1 in the chat. And I'll wait for you. Thank you, Pan 89,000 for the $2. Lioman evil. Lioman evil. Lioman bad. Yes. Okay, so this is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to show you what's linked here, all right? But based on what I know of this individual, number one, they're not unbiased. Number two, they need to brush their teeth with a brick. They're actually deranged. But like most of the people in the community, they won't get called out until much later. Lio has been involved, if I recall correctly, one of the things they did that was insane was try to use their knowledge as a pharmacist to deny somebody that their medication made them have ideation. And the fact that they didn't lose their job over that's just telling that people don't pay attention. But anyways, Slashy for $5. I have to admit I'm confused. The Twitter post seemed like it was done for the general public, but the general public despises her. Guys, one more Google Doc, and she'll have everybody on her side. Aria Diamond, where have you been? Thank you for $5. Next, she's going to say, you going after her man, John Delancey. I think she's right. She thinks she's right about everything. Well, I mean, I actually have met him. Lio has been involved in broader disputes with the art commentary community. And this is the interesting one. Including public disagreements with other creators, such as Hopeless Peaches. Hey, chat, did I have a disagreement with her? I don't think it was a disagreement we have. Pretty sure it was a couple years worth of abuse. Huh. So going forward, anytime she brings up Michael Bogsy or Aficionado Chris, just say it's a disagreement. Really rile her up, since she wants to play pretend that what everybody else goes through is so much more minor than hers. Right? Yeah. Fantastic. But they take these things seriously, chat. Very seriously. Anyways, hopefully that's the worst, heavy thing we have to talk about here. Everything else we should be able to make fun of. The incidents have contributed to an ongoing debate about Lio's approach to accountability discussions online. Supporters often view his actions as attempts to investigate or address misconduct within internet communities, while critics argue that the confrontational format of these discussions can escalate conflict and create hostile environments. If anybody actually goes around and says that, they need to kill themselves. I'm not going to sit here and listen to other drama and commentary community people tell me that escalation's bad or tell me that being mean's bad. They're worse than I am on any daily basis. Thing is, they just hide it. I don't. As with many events in the online commentary spaces, perspectives on these incidents vary depending on the source and the community discussing them. Surprise, surprise. Approximately 1 year ago to the report, another YouTuber, Lanza, published a long-form video examining alleged problematic behavior involving Lio. The worst part about this is that he called me a furry. And he also got my name wrong. Additional coverage. I don't even know who that is. And I don't care. Although it is important to note, maybe that's the one that needs to brush her teeth with a brick, I can't remember. Although it is important to note that these videos have their own biases, much like this. Oh! Metal Man, $5. She's going to say Lio loves Super 7 in the doc. I can feel it. No, unfortunately not. But she does something else. But anyways, goal time! I hope you all enjoy the Gigi. I hope you all enjoy her. I enjoy her. She's a sweet baby. Anywho. The issues include handling and circulation of private or sensitive information. Not a single person has gotten mad at the circulation of sensitive information around me because all of them do it and worse. When everybody's got a gun, nobody wants to shoot. Information shared in limited or private context being referenced, or used beyond its original scope. When has anybody said that? Nowhere. This aligns with current concerns regarding the use and dissemination of recorded conversations and private interactions. Okay, buddy. Blurring of private and public boundaries. Movements of issues from private discussions into public-facing content or commentary. If you get stupid, I will tell people. So, what should people do, chat? Should they just, I don't know, not be stupid? One in chat, they should just not be stupid. This mirrors the transition of private calls and conversations into public framing and narrative discussion. So there's this thing called sophistry. And what sophistry is where you have somebody make something that at the surface sounds like a reasonable argument until you start looking into it and you realize, oh, this is actually a bunch of crap they cobbled together. That's this entire document is sophistry. All right? Escalation patterns and interpersonal conflicts. Situations where conflict increases in intensity rather than being resolved or contained, because sometimes you can't. This is consistent with the progression from initial concerns to broader public dispute and amplification. AKA, I didn't like the fact that Lio didn't hold my hand, defend me, and instead told people what I was doing and that he doesn't abide by it. That's what this is. And here's the thing. Sometimes the best way to resolve a conflict is to make it very clear that you are willing to escalate in a worse way than they are. There's a reason why sometimes I dox myself other than for the lulz, as they say. It's because when somebody sits there and talks about how they're going to do a drive-by at your house, you give them your address and then you make fun of them for not showing. Right? Reframing or selective presentation of facts. Emphasis on certain details while omitting or downplaying others. Affecting interpretation. Well, gee, doesn't that sound familiar? This is just projection at this point. This directly reflects concerns in this report regarding selective framing and omission of context in public responses. Funny thing is, if you put out entire calls, what additional context is needed? Well, we'll find out later. Inconsistencies between private interactions and public positioning. Differences in tone, intent, or representation depending on whether communication is public or private. You're going to talk differently when you're hanging out with your friends than you are when you're making a YouTube video. Just like you're going to talk differently when you're talking to your mom versus when you're at work or when you're with the boys or when you're talking to your wife. This is actually something that I'm going to talk about later on. Thank you for the new subscriber. She has no real world experience to speak from. Lazy Pink Landmine for $5. Thank you very much. Is she seriously so delusional? She thinks this will help her. Yes, she is. This aligns with observed discrepancies between private conversation and subsequent public characterization of those interactions. See, that's the thing. If I put out a full call, what am I characterizing? I'm just putting out the freaking call. People can come to their own conclusions. Use of narrative framing to guide audience perception. You know, I want to be clear. Everything they're saying here, they provide literally no evidence for. Use of narrative framing to guide audience perception. Language and presentation choices that influence how individual events are interpreted. Like how you claim that somebody was a rapist, Rachel? Doesn't that sound familiar? This connects to the documented use of framing language and repeated characterization patterns outlined in this report. It connects to documentation of your mom. Levy Ackerman, thank you for the $5. You live rent-free in this girl's brains, and it's so very unfortunate. Well, I need the space for the Transformers. Pan for $2 again. 30-year-old woman, by the way. True. Involvement of additional parties in ongoing disputes. Expansion of conflicts or the inclusion of more individuals over time. This parallels the increasing number of participants involved in a current situation, contributing to complexity and amplification. You dumb broad, you wanted people to know what was going on. I pointed you to one person, and you've been mad about it ever since. Beefamet for $2, like Jar levels of no IRL. Jar has more. Jar actually has more IRL world experience than KP does, because Jar's actually had jobs. Let that sink in. Challenges around consent. Yeah, I'm very well known for not recognizing consent. Totally. Communication clarity. Hey, chat. Do you think I've ever not been clear? One in the chat, if I am absurdly blunt to where you don't need to ask for clarification, or two, if like you never understand a word I'm saying. And boundaries. Yes, I am LioConvoy, habitual boundary breaker. Absolutely. Well, that's all right. She didn't consent to me covering this and making fun of her, so I guess that's true to a point. Ongoing tension regarding how conversations are conducted, recorded, and shared. Womp womp. Budgie Pudgy for $2. Grown woman who mooches off mommy and daddy. All right. Be all inclusive. This directly overlaps with the core concerns in this report regarding consent, recording, and handling of private communication. Magma Paint, you said yourself you're about as subtle as a shotgun. I am. Also, you should join the server sometime. Post your art. Your art's good. Summary. This prior coverage is relevant because multiple concerns identified in that video appear consistent with newer patterns observed in the current incident. I don't think she watched the video. Because, okay, what did Lonza go over? I was out of pocket with Denobi, which is true. Probably should have reined that in. The Rosa call. I didn't do that to her. Calling Jack School didn't do that to her. What patterns? What is it I did exactly? Oh, no, nothing. That's right, the nothing. Because here's the thing, right? KP never actually watches these things. Never. What she's trying to do here, or her staff, or whoever's writing this thing, fire yourself, to be clear. They're hoping nobody actually pays attention to what was said. While each situation is evaluated independently, the overlap accepts these behaviors may not be isolated. I could be so much worse, and I choose not to. The reoccurrence of similar concerns across separate contexts may be relevant when evaluating patterns of behavior, particularly in matters involving private communication, consent, and public framing. How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Anytime you want to hop in Thunderdome, KP, we can do that, and you can try to teach me any lesson you want. And then I'm going to beat you into the ground with my own lesson, quote-unquote, by just bullying you. Baiji for the base $20. Thank you. Duck, duck, duck. Well, bread is normally bad for ducks. KP's bakery takes it to a whole new level of unhealthy. Duck, 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 bake. Oh, took me a minute. Bad Baiji. Doug got it. Number one. Summary of issues identified in this case. It's a case, you see. This report, by the way, this is page 6 of 121. This report outlines concerns regarding the conduct of LioConvoy in connection with recorded communications, framing of allegations, and responses to the misuse of private information involving KP and other parties, framing allegations, recorded communications, lack of education. Potential illegal sharing of private assets sent to other parties, including raw audio, from KP to Lio for reviewing purposes only. I did nothing illegal. You're an idiot. Case law, please, by the way. Statute, that'd be nice. Undisclosed or inadequately disclosed recording of a private conversation undertaken without clear, informed consent and later uploaded publicly. So what KP's arguing is that every single aspect of every single thing has to be checked. Now, granted, she didn't do this with aficionado Chris. And she'll say later on she did that for her own safety. I hate to tell you this, I record half these calls for my own safety too, because half of you hoes are liars. Raising concerns regarding consent, context, legality, and appropriate handling of recorded communications, while noting that separate recording in another context involved documented alleged illegal misconduct, including sexual harassment. I hate to tell you this. What you did to Saber Spark is also technically illegal because it was a harassment campaign. Which is what it was. And now we have you menacing people. And then we have you committing perjury using the copyright system. Like, I don't think KP wants to play the legal game here. She's not smart enough for it. Aria Diamond for $2, 121 pages. How many brain cells is she missing? She had some to begin with. Framing of serious allegations with implied certainty. I'm looking at the screen like I'm a member of the office right now. Including character judgments and conclusions presented without adjudication or professionally verified evidence. Professionally verified evidence. Which, of course, she doesn't do in this doc either. Despite such determinations being reserved exclusively for criminal courts under the U.S. law. No. No. No, no, no. No, no. You framed serious allegations with implied certainty. You forwarded a claim of rape with no apology because you're mad at Saber Spark. This is not something I've done. Unauthorized use of stolen creative assets, really. Documentation indicates private creative materials have been obtained and circulated through a second party without clear knowledge or consent. I'm going to be very clear, okay? I need everybody to just focus here. Your pitch of a continuation of a Disney property is not your property. Especially not when you're using their assets. Because you just traced over previously made images for the production of Impossible KP, Rachel. Here's the thing, I want to be so clear. If she were dumb enough to try to put this to court, it wouldn't go anywhere. But it'd be determined very quickly, she doesn't own those characters because they're stolen property. It's intellectual property theft. But she's not all that bright, is she? Potential harassment adjacent conduct. Guys, I'm a harasser, apparently. Including instances of escalatory communication, name-calling, boo-hoo, and the use of gendered language directed at the individual rather than the substance of the discussion. I've done both. I will criticize and talk about the substance while insulting you. You see, ad hominem is only if, instead of arguing the value or arguing the point, you just insult the person. Which is not what I do. I insult the person and argue against what they're saying. It's very simple. Very, very simple, chat. Very simple. Let's see, while I'm here, invite. Okay. Just in case anybody who is a legal adult wants to join the server and watch all the weaponized autism. Because my server is powered by autism. Boop. Pin message. Dismissal or minimization of documented boundary violations, including awareness that leaked or private materials concerning KP were being used by third-party commentators without evidence of public correction, intervention, or condemnation. There is not a single person who has used anything you have given me, Rachel, for their content, because I wouldn't let them. Beckett knew I had the draft of your first response. I did not let him use it. And trust me, he wanted it. Just like I didn't give it to Cartoon She, who wanted it. Refused that one too. You are unironically accusing me of something I didn't do because I was hoping you wouldn't be this dumb. Because I give people chances when I probably shouldn't have. Also, intervention or condemnation. Am I supposed to get in the face of everybody who's just being mean to you because you accuse somebody of rape without any evidence? Should I be nice to you, Rachel? Are you that sheltered that you think when you make a public accusation of rape with no evidence that people should just be nice and sweet to you? That is not how reality works. Reality will crush you with or without your consent. Breach of trust within a private interpersonal context, including confronting KP in a manner that discounted her stated safety concerns. What safety concerns? How are you in danger other than people hurting your feelings? Has somebody swatted you? Has somebody recently doxed you? Have they called your phone? Have they threatened your family? I ask those very specific things because that's what's happened to me. And we're going to get here. There's actually something in here that kills any argumentation she could ever have about private information being weaponized. We'll get to that in time, though. We're still on page 6. Failure to discourage harassment-adjacent audience behavior, particularly in situations where individuals are criticized or publicly discussed. I can't wag my finger at everybody. I can only control my chat. Passive enabling through omission, wherein prior vouching for third-party commenters occurred alongside a failure to address or challenge the unlawful or unethical use of private information once such misuse became known. There was no misuse, to my knowledge, on that end. And if it's unlawful, call the cops. Get a lawyer. I can't fix that. This report does not allege criminal intent or malicious misconduct. You, on the other hand, actually have had both. Rather, it documents patterns of behavior that raise concerns regarding judgment, consent, framing, and ethical responsibility in situations involving sensitive allegations of vulnerable parties. KPO would love to get you a call and talk about ethics. I'd beat you into the ground. Note of use of private communications. Private messages referenced within this report are included only when necessary to clarify or respond to information that's already been publicly discussed without KP's authorization. I also put things out for the sake of clarity and to disclose information. So again, rules for thee, but not for me. That is the Rachel Cohen way. She's been public about her name. You can't call me a doctor for that. These materials are not presented to include or to introduce new private information, but rather to provide context, accuracy, and clarification regarding communications that were previously made public by third parties. She's leading heavily into her state having two-party consent and recording. Cool, that's her state. That's not mine. I should double check something. Give me just a second, chat. Just a second. I need to know. I have to have the knowledge downloaded into what passes for my brain. Problem, she lives in New York and it's a one-party consent state. Sorry, KP, you don't live in California anymore. Womp womp. The report does not seek to originate or expand breaches of privacy, but it did, though. But it did. Any inclusion of private correspondence is limited to instances where such information is required to address existing public claims, correct misunderstandings, or contextualize statements already circulating publicly. Wherever possible, identifying details are minimized and materials are used only to the extent necessary for documentation and response. Introduction and context. Background on LioConvoy and KP's friendship. Lio and KP have been friends since 2021. Actually, no, technically it was late 2020, but okay. And maintained a generally positive relationship prior to the events described in this report. During the outcome of KP's original expose alleging misconduct by DA Games and Saber Spark, Lio introduced KP to Beckett of the commentary channel Cope and Seethe, who had expressed interest in covering the situation. At the time, KP was extremely hesitant to discuss the issue with outside commentators, but trusted Lio's judgment and believed Beckett's coverage would focus on critiquing the structure, tone, and execution of the video, or reporting on all involved parties in a neutral and balanced manner. He never promised that. Beckett actually told KP, what the video was going to be about. And even told her it's going to be rough on her. Told her he was going to be very critical of her. As the situation evolved, there's evidence that Lio was aware that other commentators were using leaked and private information about KP as content, yet did not intervene or publicly contend to Saber. What am I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do? Am I supposed to get in the faces of everybody who does something I don't like in commentary? Brother, I'd be busy all day long. Oh, and Soda, if you are doing what Mink is saying, stop. Knock it off. Wait, hold on. Maybe I'm KP is trying to hidden you. Well, I think what he actually means, my apologies. What he actually means by that is that KP is trying to frame it as though I've broken a law. I think that's what he means, because KP did, in fact, file a criminal charge against Hidden. So I may not be wrong on that one. My apologies. So again, what am I supposed to do? Because every person who was talking about this and used really defamatory language or was really cruel about it all knew I didn't care for that. All knew I didn't stand for that. At least not at first. Right? That doesn't mean they're going to listen. What KP wants is to be defended mindlessly. That's what she wants. Although he is not responsible for the actions of others. Okay, then shut up. There's no evidence. Public or private? Wait, how would you know if there was private evidence? How would you know? You wouldn't, stupid! Actually, hold on. Let me see something. Let me see if somebody's around. Give me a second. I'm going to see if the Ginger Man is around. The Gingerbread Man. We'll see if he is alive and well on planet Earth. From days of long ago. Anywho. That he took steps to discourage or challenge this conduct, despite having previously vouched for Beckett and facilitated the connection. Here's the thing, right? Hold on. He's apparently streaming. Everybody and their mom's streaming right now. We're going to see if he's willing to let me call in. Hold on. This is going to be wild if he's able to. Anywho. Despite having previously vouched for Beckett and facilitated the connection. Yeah, because I knew Beckett would give you a fair shake compared to everybody else. And he did. If there's evidence we missed, how would you have evidence of something private? Oh, that's right, you wouldn't. The mod contact information is listed below. We are happy to update the report with new information. How about you get a job? Hold on, I want to see something. I wonder what the Crab Man is streaming about. I'm curious. Oh! Oh! He's keeping a promise! Somebody paid Beckett for a Game Dude stream, and he hadn't done it for him yet, but he's finally doing it, so I will not bother the Crabman this time. This time. Anywho. To be very clear, before Beckett's video came out, before KP made it clear she was just going to dig her heels in, I did vouch for KP. I did. Let me do something here real quick. I vouched for KP in the sense of what I was sure. I was just sure she was going to do the right thing. That she's going to finally wake up, realize what the problem was, and that maybe people shouldn't be as hard on her, right? I was sure of it. Boy, was I wrong! She did not ever use her brain. Never once. Philan, or Villian. How do I pronounce that? Is it Philan? Philian? How do I say that? I'm used to calling you advocate. 2. Pre-May 2025 pre-video publication and general involvement. Prior to May 2025, KP was developing a video project examining safety and accountability concerns within the DA Games online community space. The scope of the video expanded over time to include multiple related topics, including reported issues affecting additional individuals connected to the community, employment and moderation practices, the absence of consistent third-party oversight or review of online conduct, discussion of... Hold on. Philain Kina. Okay, I'll try that. Discussion of circulating sexual assault allegations involving online creators, and broader commentary on online accountability and community safety concerns. During this production period, KP collaborated directly with Lio, who contributed voice work and participation in production discussions related to the video's publication. For the record, I want to find what this is. She had me read off Saber Spark's emails to her, which had nothing to do with the sexual assault allegations. This is dishonest framing, that I was involved with like the worst parts of the video. I was not. When sexual assault allegations involving an individual identified as Emily became part of the discussion, Lio advised that a police report should be considered. I didn't say it should be considered. Chat, what did I say? Do you remember what I said? Kinda, okay. What did I say, chat? Did I say, you really should consider taking this to the cops? Might be advised to. Just on the safe side, maybe. I mean, make the accusation publicly all you want, but I mean, you should consider going to the cops. Is that what I said? Because I don't think that's what I said. Thank you, Beefamet. I said, under no circumstances can you push this publicly without a police report. At no point. And the thing about this is, everybody already knows. Even that guy that Soda Pop's speaking about knows I had nothing to do with it, and that I told her, you have to go to the cops. If you don't go to the cops, you can't push this. You can't. Although Emily did contact her local police on this matter, she expressed hesitation towards this option, citing that under the California Public Records Act, police reports may become accessible to the accused party and could contain identifying information such as addresses. Additional concerns about potential doxing and personal safety were communicated as reasons for reluctance to pursue immediate law enforcement involvement. Readers can read more about the California Public Records Act here. Funny about that, I literally said, if you are accusing this man of rape, and he's actually done it, he'll know who you are. Unless his name was freaking Genghis Khan, he will know who you are when you make the accusation. He will know your name. He will be able to find you. So it's better for you to make the doggone police report. Because that way it's at least on file, and if he got stupid and I told her this, you can do something about it. Da-da-da! Note, this report does not seek to evaluate the objective validity of filing a police report or the reasoning behind Emily's decision not to do so. It is intended solely for document and to present the available information, except you didn't. You left quite a bit of it out, and we both know you did that for a reason. The confusion most likely originated between Lio and KP because there was no documented discussion about how the absence of a formal police report might later be interpreted publicly or how it could affect perceived credibility of the allegations. Actually, it was. It was exhaustively. In calls. Did I record them? No, because at the time KP was my friend and I thought she'd pay attention. How do you suggest we go forward with the victim? Honestly, we can't do anything. Can't do anything. Can't do anything. Can't do anything. Unless she files police reports, I'm sorry. At the time, KP understood that the allegations were already scheduled to be made public through other sources, including discussions by Brony Fandote via Twitter. The framing of the video with the breaking of the allegations was an attempt to reinforce credibility of both the public allegations and the issues presented in the video. So you push them, which I told you not to do. Because of this, KP believes she was commenting on an allegation that was already entering public circulation rather than independently breaking the story herself. I said, can't do anything. What does can't do anything mean to you, chat? Does it mean you can talk about it later, or does that mean you can't do anything? Dean Draxon, thank you for $5. Too scared to go to the cops, but too scared to tell thousands of strangers. But not too scared to tell thousands of strangers. Okay, true. True. If Brony Fandone objected to the idea or had issues with the dual framing of the video and the allegation, he could have easily declined the offer. I'm not saying that to punish him, but I'm tired of being blamed for other people's actions. You made the video, you dumb broad. That wasn't on Blanc, that was on you. Question: why did KP find Emily credible in the first place? Because she was angry at Saber. KP's assessment of Emily's claims were based on prior pattern recognition. The instances include blurred boundaries between professional and personal interactions. Evidence? Evidence. Evidence! No. Initiation of emotionally or romantically suggested interactions followed by withdrawal or reframing. Use of platform or influence in creating unclear power dynamics. Additional note: consistency between Emily's account and KP's prior personal experiences. KP, you weren't sexually assaulted. These aren't comparable. Informed how the claims were interpreted. AKA, KP had a bias and she really, really was hoping it was true. This is not a statement on the objective truth of the claims, but rather an explanation for the patterns that made them appear plausible within KP's understanding. Then you need to stop. If that made it plausible with your understanding, you don't need to be trying to understand dick and all. What is she doing? Because here's the thing. I'm going to be real mean. All right? And I want to be very clear to my chat here. I say this completely facetiously. All right? Being facetious. This is not a real claim. I want to make a point. Because I know her staff will hear this or will hear about it or whatever. If tomorrow I publicly announce that I was with KP at a specific convention at a specific time, and that she sexually assaulted me, and then refused to take accountability for it, and blamed everybody else and tried to get her staff to talk to me instead, by her own standards, she would have to capitulate to that. As long as I make sure the pattern is stated that she would recognize, or everybody else would recognize, she would have to agree with me on it. I want that to sink in. I'm hoping your staff pays attention. Because at this point, anybody could do it to KP, and she wouldn't be able to defend herself by her own standards. It's a very dangerous game to play. Potential statements by KP referring to the allegations as spicy were taken out of context. I don't even know what she's talking about. This was shorthand language used privately by KP and functioned as a coping mechanism. Oh my God. Using humor to process discomfort. It can be. But, brother, time and place. Not as a reflection of how the situation was understood or taken seriously. Additionally, the argument that KP was promoting the project for attention overlooks the multiple private attempts to prevent unnecessary exposure and does not account for the efforts made to handle the situation with discretion. You did neither. You did neither of these things. The idea that it promotes a sexual assault claim out of malicious validation, jealousy, or attention is disgusting. But it's accurate. But it's accurate. It's disgusting, yes, but that is who you are. That is who you are. Readers are encouraged to compare Emily's testimony here with current evidence and determine their conclusions independently in a report. She's lying. There's your report. Additional evidence provided by the DA Games victim is logged here for the independent review. You mean the ones that hate you? Because you didn't know what you were doing and you made an absolute joke of everything? The assumed expectation was that the information would become publicly available, regardless of her video, and that referencing the allegation within that context would provide sufficient grounding for discussion. Subsequent developments following publication indicated that this assumption was incorrect, and the underlying issues remained unresolved. Because you pushed a rape claim with no evidence, you done broad. KP on this. Man, if I knew including Emily's testimony in the video would question the ethics of the rest of my thesis in the video, I told you it would. I told you it would. I would obviously not have included it and let it stand on its own to not overcomplicate either issue. There's a lot of things I learned from this whole experience. Thank you, Levy Ackerman, for $20. Pattern recognition is the most ChatGPT thing I've read in this whole thing. All this is using ChatGPT. Well, I say this as someone who uses Claude to write code, lol. This is Gen AI stupidity, and it's specifically ChatGPT. I'll take your word for it. I obviously wouldn't have included it and let it stand on its own to not overcomplicate either issue. There's a lot of things I learned from this whole experience, except for how to say sorry. Except for admitting you were wrong. Additionally, accounting for potential communication gaps early on, it's important to note that on April 8th, 2025, Lio was provided with an incomplete render of the project specifically for feedback purposes, which I never got to looking at. Because I have a job. To be transparent and acknowledge that the Emily-related portion of the video was likely incomplete at the time of the render. However, there is no documented evidence of consistent or meaningful feedback provided on any other material, unspecified reason. How is this my fault? Leo's later criticism regarding prevention and escalation is therefore inconsistent, as he had a clear opportunity to raise concerns and did not act on it. How would I act on something I didn't know about? Because the truth of the matter is, I told you how it'd blow up in your face. I told you not to run with it, and you went with it anyways. I would love to talk to any member of your team who put this together, if they even exist. I'll make them cry by the end of it. I mean, for you, for Speedback specifically. Oh, yeah, ye. And I just didn't. I didn't look at it. Also, an update on the Saber victim. She's going to come out on Twitter first. Warned her about the harassment and the potential risk of her anonymity being compromised, so she seems aware and still wants to go forward. I said, all right then, that'll be on her. On her. On her. Hey chat, one, if you understand what that'll be on her means. Does that magically mean it's on everybody else, or does that mean it's on her? Introduction to Beckett of Cope and Seethe. May of 2025. In May 2025, an online discussion surrounding KP's video continued to develop. Lio introduced KP to content creator Beckett from Cope and Seethe. Beckett was presented to KP as a trustworthy third party who provided her with a fair opportunity to explain her perspective and discuss the surrounding controversy, and he did. And he did. It is important to note that later revelations of Beckett's bias to certain parties of the case were not clearly presented or communicated at the time. Because they weren't even discovered until after you chose to be a scumbag. If these biases were communicated to KP, she would have likely declined the call altogether. Here's the thing. KP wants to be informed of every single aspect of somebody's psychology, biases, knowledge, history, and if you don't, you're the problem. This is an unreasonable and unrealistic standard to try to hold, because I promise you she doesn't know dick about any of her staff members right now. During the period, an audio interview related to the first shaming of Saber Spark video was recorded. Both Lio and Beckett were present on the call alongside KP. KP does not currently possess a copy of the recording. Therefore, the audio itself will not be shared or cited directly within this report. The following screenshot shows Lio first bringing up Beckett, where I did. According to KP's recollection of the conversation, Beckett asserted that Emily Jones' sexual assault allegations against Saber Spark was false. No, it's not what he did. Relying primarily on statements obtained by direct sources and interpretation of Emily's prior online behavior. Also not true. As discussed in the Barbie report, these factors alone are insufficient to objectively prove or disprove a sexual assault allegation. Remember, chat, if you say she raped you, she has to believe it, which typically requires formal investigation or legal adjudication, which is why you said he did it. Which is why you never apologize for pushing that, right? Because that's what it's requiring. Okay. Additionally, labeling an allegation false without due process, such as a proper review of evidence, reporting to authorities, or formal investigation, can create broader harm, but not making the allegation without anything. That's fine. Because it's somebody who didn't want you. This conduct can lead potential victims with similar experiences to question their own situations, reinforcing doubt and discouraging them from seeking help, reporting, or engaging with established trauma research. Engaging with trauma research? What do you want about, you stupid crackhead? Again, these reports do not determine guilt or innocence by any party except for the fact that you pushed that he was guilty, but underline lack of objective evidence in an official legal capacity. You should have gone to the cops. You should have gone to the cops, you dumb broad. In fact, you should have gone to the cops, you dumb broads, plural. KP recalls that the framing of the discussion led to her to feel that she had been misled or manipulated, thank you for the sub, into platforming Emily's allegations, suggesting that Emily's motivations were malicious or personally retaliatory in nature rather than rooted in a legitimate allegation, because it was. This woman would lose her spaghetti anytime Saber Spark unfollowed her on Twitter. If you don't think that woman's malicious, you're an idiot. You should never be anywhere near a lake or a stream where crocodiles or alligators live, because you'll try to pet the thing. This framing significantly influenced KP's understanding of the situation at the time, leading to KP to privately question Emily until KP conducted her own research after the conversation over the course of December of 2025. This is supported by screenshots like this. I think this alleged victim played you. I'm going to prod them and see what they do. And I did. The prodding was Emily claiming that they weren't going to engage with me further, even though I had this profile picture the whole time, because it reminded them of one of their stalkers who also had a Ninja Turtle profile picture, which, number one, was a live action picture, and two, it was freaking Donatello! While it's important to acknowledge the seriousness of Emily's allegations and the legitimate complexity involved in discussing such claims publicly, the concerns raised in the conversation, the KP's recollection. You guys seeing a pattern here? Recollection. Shifted towards definitive character judgment regarding the claimant and the circumstances for crime and claim. Gee, I wonder why that has to happen. This approach emphasized conclusions about motives, such as assertions of malicious intent or deception. Rather than maintaining a position of evidentiary uncertainty, the discussion then focused on assigning credibility in absolute terms. You kind of have to for a rape case. You have to. If the concerns had been presented through a framework of caution, acknowledging uncertainty, potential risk, and the need for careful handling, I did. You didn't listen. The resulting dialogue may have allowed for a more balanced and constructive exchange. This is all therapy speak. Newsflash. Rachel, you screwed up. And you continue to screw up. And no amount of jabbering on like this with ChatGPT is going to save you. Ever. I remember sitting in that call, crying, thinking I had been manipulating and platforming someone with an agenda, because you were, and you did, but now you're just happy with it. Once I did my own research, evidence seems to point to more complexity. Kill yourself. Weebus for the $5. If Saber sues her, you'll be the yeast of her worries. Thank you for the money, but I hate that. In hindsight, I understand the concerns with platforming something serious, but the issue here was how character framing was used to automatically dismiss Emily's claims she had no evidence. That's why it was dismissed. And she refused to make a police report. You need to. Look, I have a lot of people in my audience that have been through some form of sexual assault, so I have to be very blunt here, all right? On the off chance that somebody's later on winds up dealing with it again, or whatever. If you get sexually assaulted in the way that Emily claimed, you have to go to law enforcement. Not later, not the next day. Do not shower for it first. I know you'll want to. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But you need to go to law enforcement. That's the only chance you're going to get of having that scumbag taken off the streets, to where you won't hurt other people. Or she. Equal opportunity here. That's your options. That's all you can do. Not go into a Google Doc. Not go to content creators. If you do not pursue it legally first, what are you doing? You are setting up a dangerous pattern for other people to repeat that can hurt more individuals. Stop. Please note, if a full recording of the call between KP Light and Becca is released at a later time, KP did not consent to its publication. I don't care! Die by your words. The release of such material may be legally questionable and may function to redirect away... This is important, okay? Redirect attention away from KP's recollection of events. I don't like the real data being out because that means people won't just take my word for it. That's what this is. That's why she hates calls being published. Because she knows that they are. She can't lie about them. She can't reframe them. She can't do the my emotions take precedence over the facts of the case. And in fact, fun fact for all of you, when I first started covering anything, I didn't used to record calls. All it took to change that was one person lying about one of them. Now, I don't record calls with friends. Unless I'm asked to. Or unless that friend's about to do something real stupid. But I have to in a lot of cases because hoes be lying. Can you say it in chat? Can you say that, chat? Hoes be lying. And be clear, ho is gender neutral. Alright? Ho is gender neutral. Question. Why did Lio introduce KP to Beckett? And how did that dynamic shift over time? A. Taking everything into account, Lio's introduction of KP to Beckett may have functioned as both an attempt to reduce credibility damage for both KP and Lio. Mine wasn't damaged by this. As well as a way to redirect communication and involvement away from Lio and towards a third party. You were looking for somebody who would talk to you. I gave you that. Over time, as Beckett's approach appeared to become more aggressive or less controlled, evidence, there was no clear indication Lio intervened or challenged that behavior. Actually, I did. I actually had to optics check him on something. He was planning on doing something I've never done. And I said, Beckett, you can't do that. It's like, well, dude, she just accused somebody of rape to a public platform to thousands of people. I said, yes, but if you do this thing, she can immediately start crying victim. And it goes against your own stated values. You cannot do that. And he didn't. Instead, he started talking about how he'd want to do it to me and see how I'd respond, which, you know, you can imagine how that would have went. This behavior might imply Lio had potential hesitation to challenge Beckett. Oh my God. Oh my Lord God. Beckett and I have gotten in unironic shouting matches about things. One day I was at work and I had to go by a Walmart while I was at work. Ren wasn't in the call, no worries. And we're sitting there debating heavily. And we're talking about morals. And at one point, it's one of the funniest things I remember from when I first started talking to him. He just shouted top of his lungs in this calling walk, "Not everyone has your morals, you a-hole." And then there was like a 30-minute autistic argument about whether or not Thomas the Tank Engine is a super robot, right? But we've had actual like ethical and moral arguments that have just become shouting matches. There is nothing about Beckett that I would hesitate to challenge. Not once. And I'd hope the same in return. No. There's not a single person in commentary I'm scared of. I'm 40 years old. I've seen more death than most of these people have seen, well, any action in bed. I'm not scared of anybody. Why this raises concern? If one individual introduces another into a situation and steps back while the third party takes a more active or escalatory role, it can create ambiguity around responsibility and oversight. In this context, KP's interaction shifts from one party, Lio, to another, Beckett, while the original point of contact does not appear to re-engage or clarify boundaries. What boundaries? That's your job to state, not mine. That is your job to state. This can result in reduced accountability. Where's yours? Unclear lines of responsibility. And an increased reach when the third party's conduct becomes more aggressive or digital. Gallagher, I will IP trace you with holy divinity. Do not question me, Gallagher. I only fear the Lord. Number 3. First instance of sharing private materials. August 8th. On or about August 8th. Well, he doesn't count as a kaiju. Kaiju are like biological beings. KP provided LioConvoy with a draft recording containing updated commentary reflecting a change in her previously stated views regarding the Saber Spark Emily Jones situation. The recording was shared privately for review and feedback purposes only. It was not intended for public distribution. I didn't share it publicly. Subsequent evidence from the Barbie report indicates this draft material most likely had been shared to additional third parties without documented authorization. Individuals identified as having received, heard the audio, or discussed the materials include YouTuber Cartoon She, Ying the Yang, that's Mother Yennefer to you, Beckett, associated with Copen and the channel Copen Seed, he got your physical, like, Google Doc draft. Below are screenshots acknowledging this. We talked about this last time we were here. I didn't put the audio out. Circulation of the draft appears to have been to have occurred prior to any finalized or publicly released version by KP. Holy crap! Did you really fail? Did you fail that miserably to spell the N-word in my chat? What are you, 12? How do you fail to N-word spam my chat? You lunatic. You loser. Oh, they're mad. They have to verify themselves in my server. Ah, poor Presito Lindo. Oh, cope. Which one of them got banned? I gotta see. This is funny stuff. Boop. Boop. Anywho. Beckett's admission regarding the audio. Beckett later confirmed during a public stream that Lio had possession of an audio. You don't say. Huh. And had shared that information with him directly. Yes, he knew I had the audio. That source is logged here for transparency to our readers. The admission is quoted below. Yes, it's because I went to ask Lio, who I knew had the audio, and I said, hey, does this script line up with the audio? And Lio said, yes, though there are some slight differences. Am I supposed to lie to him? I'm not a liar. Beckett further clarified that he personally verified this because Lio had already shown him the recording. I know Lio has the audio because he showed it to me. Yeah, I showed it to him. And? These statements indicate that Beckett was aware Lio possessed the recording. And? Publicly admitted and had access to it through him prior to the audio circulating publicly. He had access. He didn't have access to it. He just knew I had it. Idiot. Why might Lio share private material? Although motive cannot be definitively assigned, the following represents possible reasoning for why Lio may have shared the draft, based on surrounding communications and framing used afterwards. Number 1. Transparency concerns. Lio may have believed that sharing the draft promoted transparency regarding the future interactions or collaboration between himself and KP. I had no concern with myself about collaborating with KP at that point. Or ever, particularly as disagreements began emerging publicly, because the draft referenced to other creators and addressed prior commentary. Lio may have used disclosures clarifying context rather than distributing private material. I didn't do either of those things. Doofus. Alright, what did Fish send me? I'm going to regret this.
I love having kids, Charlie. I love kids, Charlie. I love...
Fishy, why are you like this? And how can we make you stop? Okay, back to it. Correction of perceived misinformation. The draft contained clarifications addressing statements made in earlier commentary videos. Example. In a prior video, KP's comparison involving Jon Stewart was characterized by Cartoonshi as an expression of ego or self-importance. Has nothing to do with me. Nothing to do with me. The draft clarified that the reference was tied to KP's Jewish cultural background and identity, meaning the earlier interpretation was inaccurate. Not my problem. I'm not the one who made that claim. Lio may have believed sharing the draft allowing third parties to verify reassesses those interpretations or warn additional parties how that narrative could be challenged. Didn't do any of that. In fact, I refused to give that to Cartoonshi. Refused to give it to anybody. Alright, what did he say? Let's see if this is the right one.
I'm now mommy.
Ha! Yin! I have you dead to rights! Dead to rights! I win, chat. Perceived safety or risk management. Given escalating public discussion, Lio may have viewed the draft as relevant to protecting himself or others from potential misunderstandings or future disputes. That draft wouldn't have done anything to help that. Besides, what are they going to do? Cancel me again? I don't care. They can try. They'll fail. This can include a belief that documenting evolving positions function as a precautionary measure. I love that this is all constructed over something I didn't do. Perceived legal concerns. At the time, discussions surrounding legality and potential liability were increasingly present within the broader discourse. Sharing the draft may have been interpreted as a way to demonstrate awareness by shifting positions or to mitigate perceived legal exposure connected to ongoing commentary. 5. Reaction to KP's changing position. Following the additional research conducted after the shaming of Saber Spark video, KP's perspective on the Saber Spark Emily Jones case evolved. Digimon, digital monster. The draft reflects clarification that KP's opinion changed after viewing more information independently. KP had previously been led to believe by Lio and Beckett that Emily's allegations were malicious and or unreliable, because they were, and are. Subsequent research into psychology discussions with mental health professionals. You had no discussion with any of this. And public documents about sexual assault led KP to reassess the conclusion. KP wanted it to be true. Desperately. The sharing of the draft may therefore have been connected to concern or disagreement regarding this shift in viewpoint. Why this matters legally? Oh boy, chat. Regardless of intention, if a privately shared audio draft recording was redistributed without permission, even without sharing the full file, as has several legal considerations may apply under U.S. law. Copyright ownership. The creator of an original recording retains copyrighted protection upon creation. Unauthorized redistribution of unpublished material may constitute infringement regardless of monetization. Naturally, that's not inherently true. Unpublished work protections. Draft and unreleased recordings receive heightened protection because the creator maintains exclusive control over first publication and distribution. No, they don't. Misappropriation of private communications. Sharing materials provided within a limited interpersonal or collaborative context may raise issues related to implied confidentiality or breach of trust depending on the circumstances. That's not a legal claim. Derivative use risk. Third parties receiving or relying upon unpublished materials may unintentionally participate in the redistribution of copyrighted content. These considerations do not independently determine liability, but explain why unauthorized sharing of draft media can create potential civil exposure. So, here's the thing. Why this matters legally, right? Anytime somebody makes a claim like this, you tell them, cite a statute, cite a case. If you notice, not a single one of these cites any of that. Not a single one. I wonder why. Why is this concerning? It demonstrates that Lio is willing to share private material without consent or knowledge by others, potentially illegally, even when privacy concerns are explicitly stated. Privacy of what? You went with it anyways. You didn't learn a darn thing. Regardless of Lio's relationship with KP or his understanding of the developing case, KP's privately shared material was circulated and externally confirmed beyond the collaborative context by Lio. I didn't circulate, dick. Such actions can lead to potential increases in harassment, misinformation, or further safety concerns for all parties. By the time anybody started publicly talking about it, you'd already put out dog water worth of material. You'd already screwed yourself over. I intentionally did not hand that out to people to be covered because I was hoping, like an idiot, that you wouldn't go through with it. Because the thing is, chat, I told KP, don't respond. She did it anyways. If draft audio or written material is verified through outside parties, this indicates the individuals with access to the material were discussing or validating it beyond the original purpose for which it was shared. You wanted feedback. Truth of the matter is, what KP wanted, she wanted me to sign off on it so she could blame me for it when it went sour. At no point was KP clearly informed that her materials were being distributed, reviewed, or even confirmed externally, and only determined the material was shared after the fact. Show me where I shared it, KP. Show me where I posted it publicly. I answered a simple question from Beckett. You'll get over it. From a trust and ethics standpoint, this represents a significant breakdown in expectations surrounding confidentiality. There were no bylaws written here. Private creative drafts are typically shared under the assumption of limited use. Assumptions don't mean dick. Especially when they contain evolving viewpoints, sensitive subject matter, or unfinished analysis. The concern is therefore not only the potential sharing itself, but the confirmation and handling of private material through third parties, while the original creator remained unaware. This creates the appearance of bias in how the material was handled and suggests a breach of reasonable trust regarding privately shared work. By what standard? By what standard? The one you made up in your skull? In summary, Lio's own judgment and understanding of the case does not grant him sharing rights to private material and does not exempt him from privacy law and other legal concerns. And sue me, you dumb whore. Additional clarification on audio access. Cartoon She's later stated he heard versions or descriptions of the audio, but did not potentially possess the file itself. Yeah, he never did. He was told about some aspect of it that was being discussed. Based on these statements, the currently identified access chain appears to be KP, Lio, Beckett, Ying the Yang. No, it's not how that happened. Cartoon She seems to have been a passive recipient of information about the audio rather than a direct holder of the file. This clarification is included to outline how the recording may have circulated among the involved parties and to document the statements each individual has made regarding their level of access. Lio aware of private information being shared. October 6th. Man, on Falgi's stream. Additional documentation indicates Lio was aware private communications and materials related to KP were circulating within community spaces. I couldn't stop that. You trusted Barbie. Barbie gave people the information, you stupid clown. I told you not to trust her. You didn't listen. Thank you for the $2 for the duck, Baiji. These materials included private recordings, alleged private details about KP's life, and documents whose method of acquisition and authorization for distribution were disputed. Despite this awareness, there is no available evidence that Lio publicly objected to the circulation of these materials or discouraged their dissemination from others in the commentary community. Am I supposed to just take up for you, to champion for you, when you screwed up? No! In the available transcript, the discussion instead proceeds with commentary on the materials themselves, rather than questioning whether they should be circulating at all, or whether consent had been obtained from the individuals involved. Did you check with Saber Spark to get his consent on spreading the rape allegation? No? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Similarly, there is no indication in the available record that Lio attempted to privately contact KP to verify the status of these materials, clarify whether their distribution had been authorized, or raise concerns about the potential legal or ethical implications of their circulation. Because that's not my responsibility. Because that's not my responsibility. Throw back to the time KP wrote a safety doc about Lio for violating her privacy, but she gave Lio my real name after I told her not to. What? I actually don't have a clue what you're talking about. Alex can't play VODs for $2. My section is funny as well. I'm sure it is. No, Lyle, come on. We were supposed to defend her honor to the evil Beckett of Crabs. True. True. Thank you, Rin, for the $5 to say poop. All right, then. Similarly, there's no... that's right. The absence of objection is notable given that the materials in question involve private communications and potentially sensitive information. In situations where legality or consent surrounding such materials is unclear, commentary participants typically face a decision between engaging with the material or declining to participate in its dissemination until its provenance and authorization are clarified. That's your problem, not mine. The available record does not show Lio taking steps to publicly or privately discourage the use or spread of these materials prior to commenting on them. It's not my responsibility. Lol, on the censored name in the last late call you had with her, she lied about everything I said. Oh, that's who you are. Well, all right then. Pattern-based analysis of available evidence suggests that reputational risk may have been a limiting factor in Lio's response. Lol? Specifically, reluctance to challenge a prevailing public narrative, particularly within his immediate social or professional networks, may have discouraged more direct intervention. Brother, if you don't think that I tell people when I disagree, you are out of your mind. You have any idea how many arguments I've had with so many people in this sphere? If I have communication and contact with them, if I disagree with something they're doing, brother, they hear about it. And they hear about it fast, hard, and in a hurry. Even somebody I wasn't directly related to or connected to, like IRL Diesel. Like, I didn't care for what he was doing with Misanthropony's family, taking shots at his dead family members. So what do? I tell him, hey, even in my April Fool's video, hey, don't do that. That's a bit beyond it, right? So dumb. So dumb. And what is this? Reluctance to challenge it. My reputational risk. People know I'm a dickhead. People know I'm aggressive. I'm a type A personality. I will tell you what I think. What's there to risk? There's nothing there to risk. Idiot. Although Lio is aware of the scope of lack of privacy or privately circulating material by other commenters, there is no proof to use his position. Have a position? To question the legal and ethical implications of the actions of others, despite identifying KP as a friend. Hey, KP, where were you in 2024? Where were you when I got swatted in April that year? Where have you been for every single deranged lunatic I've dealt with that constantly lies about me? That is not a standard you want to try to uphold. You'll bury yourself with it. 4. KP informs Lio that she discovered Barbie was leaking private material. October 10th, 2025. KP informed Lio that she had identified a likely source of the unauthorized information leak. KP alerted Lio the evidence indicated Barbie had been sharing private materials and information beyond the originally agreed collaborative content. This communication served as a direct notice to Lio that confidential materials previously shared in trust were circulated through third parties without KP's consent, raising concerns regarding privacy, scope, and use, and potential misuse of privately shared content. This is an entire thing right here. KP was mad because KP gaslit herself into thinking that I, directed her to Hidden Heroine. I never did. She said, isn't Hidden Heroine somebody you implicitly trust? I'm like that. And this is what I respond to that with. I see. The person you're remembering me referring to wasn't Hidden. It was Peaches. And that was 2 years ago. So I confirm. I didn't point you to Hidden. You're remembering Peaches. And here's where she admits that I was right about Barbie. The DM shows KP presenting Lio the evidence that Barbie leaked before it became public knowledge on October 8th. The full screenshots are available in the Barbie report. With a combined timeline in mind and his own sharing of private materials, now understood that Lio was aware of script assets via Beckett were being shared. He didn't tell me who was doing it. Ren for another $5. Thank you, P. Very, very fake. I'm going to go back to the McDonald's. You keep it up. Essentially, although Lio acknowledged that KP independently identified Barbie, he failed to disclose that he was the individual who originally verified the script to Beckett in the first place. And? Who cares? Why Lio's response raises concerns. Breakdown of trust and direct communication. If prior knowledge or involvement existed, the absence of disclosure, primarily when KP later identified the source independently, resulted in KP having to reconstruct the situation without direct clarification. He never asked. Lack of transparency in handling sensitive information. When material is vetted or treated as credible, there is a reasonable expectation that this context is disclosed, especially when the same material becomes part of public claims. You accuse somebody of rape. Asymmetry in information and response. The presence of undisclosed context, followed by a minimal or non-substantive response once the source was identified, creates an imbalance where one party is operating with less information about their own situation. Impact on perceived good faith engagement. Presenting evaluation or critical commentary while omitting one's own personal role or potential role in assessing the same material may be perceived as inconsistent with transparent, good faith communication. Yap, 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 yap. Escalation of events between Hidden Heroine, Lio, and KP. October 6th, 2025. KP sought clarification from Lio after becoming aware the YouTuber Hidden Heroine had published a call involving her without her prior knowledge or consent. At this point, despite stated motivations, KP's concern was any content regarding the situation could fuel additional harassment and misinformation. It could be interpreted to misrepresent characters' motivations. KP approached Lio about concerns with Hidden had leaked information, including scripting assets, in relation to a private call later uploaded on YouTube. Thank you, Lacey Pinkland. My for $2. KB was told not to trust Barbie. What is this? True. True. To KP's recollection. Interesting. Lio had previously vouched for Hidden and had recommended her as someone who could help during the situation. I never did. And she's been told this. She was told this in call. She was told this in text. She's just trying her best to make it to where it can't be her fault. It can't be her fault. Nothing can ever be her fault. Lio denied any direct connection as shown below. I never denied connection. I denied that I sent you to her. And here's it. I think we need to talk. I said, I have some time tomorrow evening. Why would you let me talk to Heroine if she was going to leak a call? I can't explain another person's actions to you. I'll be able to call tomorrow at 6 p.m. CST. Do you have any knowledge that was her intention, though? I'm trying to get the benefit of the doubt, but it feels like I've been set up. How could I set you up when I'm not even the person who told you to do it, stupid? Although there is no direct confirming evidence that Lio did recommend Hidden to KP, further reviewed evidence include a call timestamp with KP and Lio that closely aligns to when Hidden was added as a direct friend of KP on Discord. There is no evidence of prior independent communication between KP and Hidden at the time. This documentation is shown below. Junkfish. Recommended. Hidden. Not me. Timestamps evidence show Hidden was added by KP only 2 minutes after her conversation with Lio ended, and it's not my fault. While this does not confirm an introduction directly, it raises a readable question how contact began. Junkfish recommended it and you added her. As it would generally be unlikely for KP to involve a completely unknown person in a sensitive situation without some form of prior indication or vouching. Additional available documentation shows that Lio and Hidden had some kind of working relationship, including collaboration on art, thumbnails, and related materials. By the way, she did this thumbnail for this stream. Okay, but that's not the same as me pointing you to her. Supporting evidence of this continued collaboration is also provided. She's a mod in my server, you numbnut! This is a sticker that she sells, because I refuse to, because it's her art. You should go buy one. It was done by Hidden Heroine, link is description. Other documented conversations included a recorded call between Lio and Hidden, covered by YouTuber Malcolm in December 2025. By the way, that's the Goat Cato thing. Indicate discussions of coordinated activity related in an ongoing project involving multiple individuals. I actually wasn't involved with any of that other than hosting the gallery call on my server. Within the call, participants referenced having worked on or discussed aspects of the situation over a period of time. None of that involved me. Suggesting prior communication had planned rather than a single isolated event. Malcolm also remarked, Mountain should kill himself. Malcolm should find a knife, plunge it in his neck, pull all the way left. It's important to note that the statement only reflects Malcolm's interpretation. I don't care about his interpretation. Dude tried to, power jockey for his girly friend who was letting kids access porn. He knew what he was doing. While this observation does not independently establish the nature or scope of any collaboration, it indicates that an internal reviewer perceived coordinated activity or joint involvement between two individuals. A conspiracy theorist that says something conspiracy related, you don't say. Shadowstar for $2. Does KP also need somebody to tie her shoes to? I mean, if the shoes are Disney related, sure. Let me see here. Time to be nice. Haha. Maybe one day I'll figure out what I can give my members. I don't really know. I'm not good at this stuff. Although sentiment remains an interpretation rather than a verified fact, it is included here as contextual evidence, suggesting that the relationship between Hidden and Lio may have involved a level of cooperation or familiarity beyond that of casual or incidental contact. She's one of my mods, you drooling, blithering idiot. Good lord. And we're only at 31 pages into this monster. Question, why was Lio acting this way following KP's call? This is so boring. You know what, Chad? I'm just gonna skim till I find something fun. Nobody cares that you had a therapy appointment with BetterHelp or whatever. Nobody cares. All this is just trying to justify using legal jargon. No. Lio then suggested continuing the discussion directly. However, KP reiterated that her primary concern was the possibility of being recorded without consent. According to evidence law below, Lio said he did not have time for text communication and suggested that declining a call would amount to KP running from her responsibilities. Yeah, because you would have been. KP then felt obligated to participate in an audio call despite her reservation. I'm going to be real blunt here. If you're scared of a call and think that text is going to save you, text can be screenshotted, you drooling, gibbering idiot. At no point did she say, I'm worried about being recorded without consent. She said, are you planning on recording? I said, do I need to? I'm just asking clarifying. I said, I can't text all night. If you're scared of being recorded, it's because you know you're going to say something you shouldn't. Womp womp. She keeps it up, I'm going to give her a real reason to go to therapy. I'm going to call her and tell her she's gay. I'd rather read the A slot because I'm not going to see any unexpected back shots in here. At this point, I would feel more comfortable with texting. I'm sure you can understand that. If you're unavailable tonight, that's fine. We can talk some other time. Said, KP, this was set up and scheduled. This is actually just ridiculous. I'm not doing text. I have other responsibilities and cannot spend more time than I already have texting you. You go on about wanting to be treated like an equal. This is it. Because it was. Why is Lio's approach to this conversation concerning? This interaction reflects a prioritization of creating a recorded account of the conversation. Actually, it prioritizes not spending all day watching you type and make excuses. Over-respecting stated boundaries related to consent, potential legal law and private. Legal law as opposed to illegal law? There's nothing... You could have just hung up. You could have ran. You already did anyways. Lazy Pink Landmine, $2. Thank you. Does KP need someone to read her a bedtime story? Actually, yeah, she has. This approach... Hold on. The available record suggests the efforts were made to move the discussion into an audio format despite those concerns, shifting the focus from resolving the issue to establishing a defensible record. I had to. Because you're unhinged. And because you're a liar. The entire reason Hidden published the call was because you're a liar. This approach may introduce pressure within the interaction and raises concerns about the appropriateness of prioritizing reputational or evidentiary positioning over mutually agreed communication conditions. In other words, I didn't get my way, and that's a problem now. Lio's concerns and analysis. I'm gonna get analyzed, everybody. Buckle in. Framing note. This section summarizes the primary concerns articulated by Lio during the recorded call, followed by an analysis based on the transcript and available evidence. Where relevant, the analysis notes when conclusions appear to rely on interpretation, tone, or assumption rather than specific documented examples. The call has been archived here for transparency purposes. It won't let me click that because it's now dead. Concerned, did KP not follow advice and escalated the situation? Yes. Quotes, you don't understand how the real working world works, because she doesn't. You are continuing on a destructive path, and she still is. You didn't listen to me, and she still doesn't. Analysis. Lio frames the concern as a broad assessment of KP's judgment and decision-making. Yeah, because it's poor. The language used conveys frustration and functions as a general evaluation, rather than referencing a specific instances where advice was explicitly given and disregarded. It did, though. I told you, don't platform this, and you platformed it. You lying snake. The transcript shows KP engaging with Lio's feedback by asking clarifying questions, attempting to understand his perspective. The record does not show a clear, unambiguous directive from Lio instructing KP to not respond publicly. Do I need to pull these things up in the middle of the call? Do I need to? Are you that much of a child? Only guidance framed conditionally. If you feel like you need to. Not due to DMCA's. I said, when she first sent me it, I'm going to respond to that if you like you need to, after I've told her multiple times, don't. If you're not going to listen, I'm not going to sit there and argue with you constantly. KP on this, no hate to Lio, but my understanding is that his day job involves vending machine repair or similar work. That's fine, but it also means we come from very different backgrounds, so I'm not sure his perspective on these issues is especially applicable. So, talking about an audio, recording the call, that's privacy violating. Talking about what I do for a living, which I've never been public about. That's fine to her. And to be clear, I interact with people daily while doing these machine repairs. In the real world, not sitting at a computer, not pissing myself on a couch. You don't interact with real people in the working world, Kate, because you've never been in the working world. You haven't had a single real job in your entire miserable life. You mooched off your parents and nothing more. Concern, misconduct by third parties is unrelated or minimized. Quotes, that's not Beckett's fault. That's just who Barbie is. Your perception's skewed. What's the context for these, KP? Amazing how you won't give them. Analysis. In addressing third-party actions, Lio consistently redirects focus towards KP's interpretation and reaction rather than evaluating the conduct itself. But you want people to think about your interpretation and reactions, right? That's why you don't want the calls out, because it moves away from your remembering of things. Idiot. Statements minimize responsibility by attributing behavior to individual personality rather than examining its impact or approach. You accuse somebody of rape. You accused somebody of rape. You don't get to say this after you accuse somebody of rape with no evidence. Weebus for the $5. Thank you. I bet money she made Riddle roll the meatball with his nose when she would eat the lady in the tramp spaghetti. Oh, God, I hope not. The analysis finds no factual explanation offered for why boundary violations, such as unauthorized recording or distribution of private material, should be treated as inconsequential. Because you're an idiot. I would love to take on anybody who wrote this. KP, send your entire team after me. I would love to just have a freaking kumite with these weirdos. Number 3. Concern. Emotional presentation undermines credibility. You need to eat gravel and harden up. She does. Stop word lawyering, which is what you're doing this whole time, and you're failing at that too. This is unbecoming. Yeah, accusing somebody of rape without evidence is unbecoming. These statements function as value judgments regarding communication style rather than evidence-based critique. No, these all have evidence to back them. You need to eat gravel, need to harden up. You need to stop word lawyering. Why? Because that's snake behavior. This concern appears driven by discomfort with emotional framing rather than identifiable conduct. It's amazing how, when it's her feelings, they need to be recognized. If it's somebody else's, clearly that's a problem. Preference for text communication was unreasonable because it was. Because it was. KP states safety and comfort reasons. I don't care. What safety? KP, Rachel, is somebody in the middle of our call going to show up and pull a bullet in your skull? Are they going to grab a Tommy gun and rattle your bones? Are they going to hit you with an orbital strike? Is a sniper going to take you out from the window? You're perfectly safe, you drooling idiot. A functional necessity for a voice call, because calls will allow for tone, you autistic idiot. And I say that as an autistic idiot. The subsequent uploading of the call undermines the stated dismissal of text-based communication. How? How? No answer, of course. KP's interpersonal behavior caused broader conflict. How you treat people is a problem. That's true. She treats people like garbage. Later, Philane. You need to reassess your life. She does. Still needs to. Analysis. This concern is framed as a general character assessment. True. No specific incidents, dates, or examples. You accuse somebody of rape. With no evidence. I wasn't aware I needed to keep restating that for you. $2 from B for me. Who's braver, Deed or KP? Oddly enough, KP, because she's still around. You know I love you, Hive. Anyways. This proves it was never about children's safety, because it wasn't. It was never about their safety. It was about her get-backs, because she didn't like Saber Spark for ditching her. This conclusion is presented without reference to platform policy or legal standards. You didn't follow any legal standards because you never involved the police, you drooling idiot! As already discussed in the Barbie report, KP documented information for further protection and potential police investigation, something Lie doesn't consider. What police? You mean the German police? Or is it ICE? Because here's the fun fact. Courtney, of all people, randomly put out the other day, hey KP, what's this about you calling ICE on people? Isn't that kind of like the Nazis in Germany? One would think you're against that. Now I thought to myself, think of all the people who covered KP. Then think of the type of people ICE goes after. Who could she have called ICE on? I think she called ICE on me. Now, unfortunately for Rachel Cohen, my family's been here for about 100 years and has multiple records of being in law enforcement and military. So, I'm a fully legal citizen. Good luck on that one. I'm not going anywhere. But since we want to talk about police investigation, let's talk about your perjury. Privacy strikes and DMCAs are commonly used to address dissemination of private or sensitive information that are supported mechanisms within platform frameworks. Actually, no, DMCA is not about private information. Privacy strike is, but that's it. And you use these just to get docs on people. Oh, how's it going, Michael? Thank goodness Lio is streaming. I was about to expire trying to watch a presentation by a lunatic about ancient aliens. Aside, Lio just said, I don't know, man. I think you might want to go back to that. This is worse. This is about some dumb broad who's big mad I didn't defend her when she accused some dude of rape without any evidence. And I'm thoroughly convinced tried to call ICE on me. Which is really, really funny. For the record, using DMCAs to get doxes just for the fact of doing that is abuse and perjury. Anyways. 7. Concern. Allegations are invalid because they conflict with personal perception. What? Hi, for $5. Thank you. KP is still a cloaca breather. Yes, she breathes out the same hole she poops and pees. Crouches. Out of 3. True. No matter what you have, ICE agents don't care and get physical first. I'd be generally careful. I've got a shotgun. I don't care anymore. Allegations are invalid because they conflict with personal perception. That does not work for Saber Spark as a person. Well, yeah, probably because they don't have any evidence to them. This concern relies on personal familiarity rather than documentation or investigation. A recent affinity bias. Do you mean the same bias you had because you hate him? Idiot. KP's actions carry extreme legal consequences. This will follow you into your real life. It has. You have met every known legal marker. Yes, she has met every legal marker for defamation. She did. These statements are speculative and not supported by legal standards or precedent. Neither was your claim of somebody being a rapist. Which one do you think is worse? Dumb cow. Context of reputational claims. The claim that KP's actions have caused reputational harm should also be viewed within the broader context of the public discussion. Most of the reputational narrative surrounding the situation has emerged within the same commentary ecosystem discussing the material, rather from independent sources of value. This is gobbledygook. She caused reputational harm. The guy lost 20,000 subs overnight over a claim that had literally no evidence. This dynamic can create a circular effect, and let's try not to do that, Bungie, please. Commentary interprets procedural reporting actions as reputational damaging because you don't have any procedural reporting. There's no procedure. You're not law enforcement. These interpretations are repeated within the same community discussions. Kill yourself. The repetition itself is then cited as evidence of reputational harm. No, you were told what the reputational harm was. You're just a dishonest cow. The purpose of you know what? KP needs to just be left in the woods for like a year. And she will either grow up and learn to survive, or she will die. Either way, we'll all benefit. Lio's personal experience with trauma. Oh, this is going to be good. In the call, Lio references his own experiences with personal trauma in relation to the product situation. Product situation? I do have trauma from Super 7. Their products are that bad. Although Lio's personal experiences are valid and deserving of respect, they do not constitute a professional or clinical background in trauma, psychology, or related fields. Neither do you! You know, just give me a minute. I'm going to mute real quick and then I'm going to do something. Just give me a minute. So, let's talk about this. We're going to get through this, and now I'm going to give my thoughts. Essentially, lived experience can provide perspective, but it is not a substitute for established research, clinical training, or evidence-based frameworks. Don't talk to me about evidence. You accuse somebody of rape with none. Relying on personal trauma as a primary lens for interpreting broader situations can introduce risk, particularly when it is used to define standards for others or to challenge established understandings of trauma response, consent, or victim behavior. This can unintentionally shift discussions away from evidence-based practices and towards subjective interpretation. Additionally, using trauma as a rhetorical benchmark or point of authority can create a moving standard that is difficult to evaluate consistently. This may lead to confusion, misrepresentation, or reinforcement of inaccurate assumptions about how trauma should be present or processed. This report, therefore, prioritizes external, professionally grounded sources when discussing trauma-related topics, even though none are linked, to ensure that conditions remain consistent, safe, and aligned with established knowledge, rather than dependent on individual interpretation alone. Sources. $20 says none of this says what she says it does. And I have to ask, what does any of this have to do with her accusing somebody of rape? And didn't you bring Courtney into your video because you thought she had a better understanding of it because she was a sexual assault victim? Interesting how that's changed. The call itself is structured largely around Lio's framing events, which is him directing the conversation and positioning his perspective as correct and authoritative, because I was, and am. His focus remains on accountability, evidence, and the consequences of KP's actions. Yes! While KP's responses are more reactive, reflecting uncertainty, emotional strain. Grow up! And an attempt to process the situation in real time. Welcome to an adult world. This results in an exchange that is not evenly balanced, but instead primarily guided by Lio's interpretation of what occurred, because I know more about what occurred than you did, because I'm not a deranged animal like you. While the call does capture KP acknowledging gaps in her understanding and expressing a need to reflect, it does not present a neutral or fully mutual discussion. Rather, it reflects a dynamic in which one party is defining the terms of a conversation and the other is responding within that structure. As such, the call should be evaluated as a single, perspective-driven interaction and not as a comprehensive or definitive account of the broader situation. TLDR, KP knew she was wrong, knew she was in a corner, and instead of wanting to recognize that, she wants to deflect into the nature of the call. This wasn't neutral. Humanity is not neutral. You are not neutral. And here's the thing, right? I'm just going to be real mean here for just a minute. KP's trauma is as follows. She got harassed online in 2016 by a bunch of scummy individuals and got doxxed. Her dad made her do primary work for her, I think, like some princess-related crap. And then her parents got divorced after she was an adult. Okay. Those things can cause trauma. But don't you ever sit there and try to armchair analyze and cite things you know nothing about, like you have any knowledge about what trauma does or what it's like, when that is the breadth of your understanding of it. I have watched men die. I have been there to watch people's lives upheave themselves. I have had horrific things happen to me. I am not going to sit here and be lectured about trauma and mental health from a couch pissing, drug smoking, animal abusing, friend harassing, degenerate psychopath. I refuse to. Princess stuff, I think she was involved. Riddle gave more detail about, but she did kids' birthday parties in princess attire, something like that. But I'm not going to sit here and be lectured by this level of degenerate. I'm not going to be lectured by somebody who falsely accuses somebody of all things rape with no evidence, and then continues to push and saying, well, we can't really know what happened. Fine, okay, everybody can now go around saying KP raped them. Everybody can. Thank you, Dinksideville, for the $5. Kent Linson right now. Have some money for your suffering. Goo Goo Daki. Why isn't the goal updating? That's weird. Because I'm pretty sure you guys hit it a while ago. Well, since I'm sure you hit it a while ago, I'm going to go ahead and close it. I'm going to start another one. Just be on the safe side. And because you guys, from my recollection, hit the goal, you know what that means. And no, she's claiming somebody raped, well, because they were, technically, yeah, I could argue that. Okay, so back down here. Go back to the reading screen. There we go. I am not reading this. Although the last piece was fun. Last piece here. P.S. I would warn your little friends I have sent, as in already pending, DMCA takedowns for anything, both video and streams, using private or leaked information. Commentary is within their right, but anything more is a violation of my privacy, boundaries, and threatens my safety. Has somebody threatened to show up and shoot you? Has somebody threatened to show up and beat the stuffing out of you? If no, then your safety isn't threatened because people got a hold of your response early, or a script. Your safety is in no way, shape, or form compromised because something online leaked in relation to a script. You dishonest cow. Question: why would Lyle remain in contact with KP who was actively leaking private material? Because I wasn't. And what she says is, essentially, because I'm not going to go through all this, that I would do it to keep in contact to get more, or for other stupid reasons. The answer is I was still hoping she would not be stupid. Boy, was I a fool on that one. Examples of misogynistic language referenced by KP in the above message. Below are examples of language used by Beckett that KP referenced during the above text and call with Lio. These excerpts are included to demonstrate the tone and rhetorical framing that contributed to KP's concerns regarding misogynistic or gender-based language and related commentary content. Sources, all these. Sexual degradation, use of explicit sexual imagery directed at a woman as an insult rather than commentary on behavior. She drinks and smokes and pokes and chokes on dick. So I want to just go ahead and be a dick here. Every single thing she's quoting here from Beckett's stream. With the exception of this. Weren't things Beckett said. They are lyrics to a song, you drooling imbecile. Other than you have bad taste in women like KP. Actually, maybe I had said that to him. I can't remember. These excerpts are presented solely to document the language KP referenced when describing concerns about misogynistic tone and rhetoric. She has never in her life actually been oppressed. Their inclusion is for contextual analysis and documentation purposes only. Clarification regarding Lily Orchard reference, circa August 2023. In the above message, KP referenced her past relationship with Lily Orchard. For context, during the period of that friendship around 2023 or so, KP intentionally avoided seeking out information that could be personally triggering, including allegations or documented controversies involving Lily Orchard. Lio was aware of KP's friendship with Lily at the time, but did not directly inform Lily of known concerns or controversies surrounding Lyra's behavior. Because you put up a boundary, you idiot! What's this? What's this? Intentionally avoided, including allegations. From KP's recollection, when she directly asked Lio about potential allegations involving Lily, Lio discouraged her from investigating further, citing if Lily was personally helpful, she should not engage in the community and commentary around her. What? Crackhead behavior. KP later became aware of these issues independently when testimony from Courtney Pete, Lily Orchard's sister, was publicly shared and included allegations of abuse, something nobody else knew until she came forward with it. I had no clue either. KP raised this example during the conversation to illustrate a broader concern, that Lio appeared to make judgment calls about what information KP should or should not know, rather than allowing her to make informed decisions collaboratively. You didn't want to know, you dumb broad, and when other people tried to tell you, you shut them down. From KP's perspective, earlier awareness and public discussions regarding Lily Orchard would have allowed her to make more informed personal and professional decisions prior to those issues becoming widely public through third-party testimony. The entire reason you got removed from Analysis Anarchy was because of your connection with Lily. They told you too. Everybody did. For readers seeking additional background, that doesn't matter to this. So, when she brought Courtney into my server to initially talk about all this, people started dogging on KP, and I got them to stop. Trust me, I've been there before. There's tons of stuff Lily has done, but I knew if I brought it to you, Lily would lie about it and would put you in an uncomfortable and vulnerable position. The physical stuff is new, though. Because that's true. Lily would have just lied to her, and moron here, number one, would have bought it. And that means I'd have no ability to back her up when things went sour. And on top of that, she was told by other people and didn't listen. If you have Abraham and the prophets, even if a man comes back from the dead to tell you to avoid this place, they will not listen! What am I supposed to do? Why does everybody think I'm made of magic? I promise you I'm not. I don't care about this. KP apologizing for believing the wording of false rape allegation in her general response. A small text screens blah 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 blah. Kill yourself. I uploaded the call. This occurred despite prior privacy concerns expressed by KP during their conversations. I don't care. You accuse somebody of rape. The release was accompanied by selective screenshots and contextual framing, which appeared intended to present Lio's perspective and defend his position after contact between the two parties ended. Like, this is to defend you? This entire doc is to defend you? You idiot. Is this legal? No, not really. Yes, it is. It's fully legal. Sue me, ho. Since private information was discussed and published without KP's consent, legality falls back into U.S. privacy law, statute, case law. Do it now. Although Lio resides in Texas, a one-party consent state recording state, the legality of recording a call and legality of publishing that recording online are separate issues, no, they're not. While one-party consent laws may permit recording under certain circumstances, public distribution, especially on monetized or widely accessible platforms such as YouTube, introduces additional legal considerations including privacy rights, consent to publication, it was mine so I can publicize it, copyright ownership of recorded speech, it was mine because I recorded it, and potential exposure of third-party information. And none of this is against the law here. You're stupid. As discussed elsewhere in this report, recording laws do not automatically grant permission to publicize, distribute private conversations. You cited no case law. None. No law. You cited no law! Additionally, witness testimony from Lio's privately run server, archived here. Interesting. Indicates either the call and or video release was turned into a server-wide event without KP's prior knowledge or consent. I do not need your consent to publish a call. I don't need anybody's consent other than mine to publish a call. You spoiled brat. And it was an at everyone for the premiere. You idiot. Potential reasons for live broadcasting. This is all just speculation because you're too stupid to realize what happened. And whoever is researching for you is too stupid to click on a link. Additional comparative analysis. Lio's video framing versus documented record. Scope of analysis. Scope of your mom. This section does not dispute the existence or the underlying events or materials referenced in Lio's video. The factual basis of these events is supported by documentation and remains independently verifiable. The purpose of this analysis is to evaluate how the events are interpreted and presented factually. Because I played a stupid call! Weasley piece of garbage. Generalized character assessment versus verifiable evidence. Don't talk... I'm going to excuse this. You can't talk about evidence. You accuse somebody of rape without any evidence. You don't get to talk about it. You don't get to talk about it. Supporting transcript evidence. You do not have a grasp on how to treat people. True, you don't. You do not seem to truly understand how the real working world works. True, she doesn't. It was pretty clear to me KP was scrambling to find anybody to be scapegoat. Because you were and still are. These statements reflect broader character judgments rather than verifiable discrete actions. This entire thing is unverifiable garbage that you gobbled together to defend yourself. The video emphasizes subjective assessment. This entire document is subjective assessment. Whereas documentation reflects verifiable, evidence-based detail. Where's your evidence for any of the things you're saying here? They don't exist. You're dumb. This is so mind-numbingly stupid. The video attributes outcomes primarily to individual shortcoming, flaw adjustment, or emotional instability. Documented records indicate specific situations, triggers, and external factors, explicitly stated boundaries and limitations, responses shaped by circumstantial conditions rather than fixed traits, supporting transcript evidence. This is an entire debacle happened because you refused to listen to me. Because it did! You have a tendency of getting all your information third hand, and this doc has proven that wholesale. This shows contextual misunderstanding, information gaps. There's nothing in that video I misunderstood. You lying snake. How much more of this is just regurgitated cowabunga bull piss? This is gish galloping. This is throwing so much out there that most people would just not recognize it and then just accept it. Also, conclusion, we're only halfway through. Conclusion, but we're halfway through. Summary of public reception of the published contraction video. She's a bad person, but sort of seemed like you were trying to bully her into calling for better views. It's sort of cringe. She's the one that asked for that call, because she was. Can we talk? Note, though KP asked to clarify information related to Hidden Heroine, KP did not request to be recorded. Never said she did. Nor did she ask for the conversation to be broadcast or shared publicly. Where does that say in here? I said she's the one that asked for a call. Never said anything about any of this. Moving the goalpost. Questioning the purpose of the call. Why did KP need to be in this call? Because she needed to hear what I had to say. She didn't need to be in this effing call. What are you talking... Oh, talking about Malcolm stuff. Who cares? Malcolm should kill himself immediately. Nobody cares what Malcolm thinks. No one cares. Lio's post-Barbie report behavior. Oh no, I'm going to get in trouble, guys. Dismissal, speculation, and reframing of the report's contents rather than directing. I directly engaged with all of it. You just have an inability to defend your position. There's no way AI was involved in this. This framing attempts to undermine the credibility of the document itself rather than engaging with the evidence presented. Am I supposed to engage with the freaking clinker? You're a lazy clown. Lio explicitly declines to examine them. I'm not going to get into all that. I could, but I don't feel like, because I'm not going to waste my time. Thank you, Mac and Cheese, for the $5. Entire doc is padding as much as you can into to reach the word count requirement in an essay. Yes. Yes, it is. To further clarify additional claims, AI assistance was used only for editorial support, such as spell checking, proofreading, and basic fact cross-referencing. No, it wasn't. Because you don't talk like that, and you don't type like that. It's important to note that all the claims in these reports are referenced independently documented sources. The use of AI does not alter or replace the factual basis of reports. It also pulls child porn, so have fun with your child porn generator. We encourage all readers to check and look for our sources section to understand how information is being sourced in these reports. You're a gish galloping loser. It's loser behavior. Reliance on speculation while rejecting evidence. Lio openly acknowledges some of his statements are speculative while continuing to assert them with a dismissive tone towards the report. At least I didn't accuse somebody of rape. I said it's what I think. I did not say I have solid evidence. So you're mad that I specified it was speculation. The admission demonstrates that parts of his critique are based on personal interpretation rather than What do you think commentary is, you drooling Neanderthal? Use of mocking or dismissive. Oh my God, grow up. Grow up. You stupid pussy. Grow up. Selective engagement with the document. Yeah, because there are things I just don't care about. I'm not going to read all this as dumb. True, because it was. Anytime you want to hop in Thunderdome, KP, we can have this out real hard and quick. And we'll see if you're able to conjure up all this on your own instead of using a chatbot. Boo-hoo, I bullied you. Boo-hoo, I was mean about you. Maybe if you didn't accuse somebody of rape, you wouldn't be here. It's observable that, at this point in the timeline, Lio makes broad claims about KP's processing and understanding of the situation by using probiotic terms. Probiotic terms. Probiotic terms. But guys, it's just for structure. That's all she used it for. Can somebody tell me where I use terms for gut health? And microorganisms? Apparently pointing out that she's crazy, unstable, and emotional is probiotic. It's good for gut health. It replaces argument with characterization. No, I did both. I argued against it and I made fun of you. It reflects documented gender bias. Research shows that women are more likely than men to have their behavior interpreted as emotional or irrational, even when presenting equivalent arguments. This creates unequal... Okay, this has nothing to do with me. I'm meaner to guys than I am you. Factually. I am factually meaner to men than I am women. In fact, let me see here. Give me a second. I'm going to see if somebody else is around. I need to prove something. Watch this be the one time he's not around. Actually, real quick, Gallagher, are you still around? Are you still in the chat? Are you still in the chat? I'm curious. I have a gender bias. Sorry. The thing is, in a way, she's technically right. Just not in the way she thinks. Actually, while we're doing that, I'm going to let you guys have a commercial.
I interrupt this program for a very special announcement.
Did you ever wish you were like me? A powerful ninja? Fool! You could never be like me. You are much too weak. But you could get close. How? With today's sponsor, bathinmymilk.com. After a hard day of slaying my pathetic enemies, there is nothing better than enjoying a luxurious soak to regain my full ninja might. As you can see here, I am enjoying such a revitalizing experience. This company, which I'm sure Cobra will soon take over, offers the following types of milk: whole, skilm, goat, oat, and even dolphin milk. Yes, ninja in training, for they are also mammals. However, if you wish to be a powerful ninja, second only to me, you must bathe in low-cow milk, as it is taken directly from their udders, specifically this week low-cow. What is that? You haven't seen me in this tub the whole time? Of course not, fool, for I am ninja. You will not see me until I allow you to, and then it will be too late. 4 out of 5 ninja agree that Bathe in My Milk's product is the path to greatness. Why not the 5th ninja, you ask? Was he slain for the dishonor of disagreeing with me? No, Gaijin! He was killed during a mission by a samurai. For no ninja would dare disagree with me. Simply go to bathinmymilk.com and email the site owner with an order. Use code NINJA to pay an extra 50% for your order. What, you wanted a discount code? Fool! A true ninja lives for adversity. bathinmymilk.com. Buy it, or my blades will be the last thing you see. I hope you enjoyed that. Well, doesn't look like he's responding. $5 from Lacey Pink Landmine, thank you. KP, we can call you misogynist for what you did to Hidden. We can play your cards, true. Here's the thing. Here's a true thing, all right? One time I was in call with Vlad, and he heard that somebody called me misogynistic, and he crashed out. Because I'm too nice to women. Because I give them a larger benefit of the doubt. I give them larger, and on the whole, more grace, and something I need to work on, than I tend to give men. So it is true I have a bias. Because here's the thing. If, I don't know, who can I use as an example that's still freaking around? Who can I use as an example that's not immediately going to get offended and want me dead? You know, I'll use Beckett. He's a good sport about these things. If Beckett were to have pulled the exact same stunt as KP did, I would have gone harder faster. Because there's that bias in my brain that I don't know how to just immediately check. I struggle with it. Being 100 with you. So if I'm a lot of things, misogynistic ain't one of them. And I would, Zach, but good God, we're 2.5 hours in. I just want to get this thing done. Bruh. Well, here's some studies. This is why Lio's bad. Why Lio's video response matters. Because I'm right. The reliance on these continued communication patterns and escalation within his Barbie response video is significant because it shifts the discussion from elevation information, managing perception, limit space for nuance or clarification is what the comment section's for, discourage balanced interpretation, where, and reinforce conclusions through tone and repetition other than evidence. You literally want people to believe what your recollections are instead of the calls themselves. Summary. The observed use of ridicule and dismissive... Oh my God, grow up! Grow up! Taken together, the patterns in Lio's response raise questions about the reliability of his commentary as an objective evaluation of the report is more objective than anything you've ever covered. His own statements acknowledge that portions of his analysis are speculative rather than evidence-based. Welcome to commentary. While other segments show a refusal to review or engage in the full contents of the document before dismissing it. Hey, stick your foot in a blender. Wait, you're not going to? Why wouldn't you? I mean, surely you'll engage with it instead of dismissing it. Moron. At multiple points, he declines to examine legal or evidentiary sections while continuing to characterize reports as illegitimate, because they were. They all are. When combined with the use of mocking or dismissive language towards the material itself, this approach suggests that the response functions more as rhetorical rebuttal than substantive critique. What's there to critique? You're just a liar. From an analytic standpoint, commentary that relies on speculation while avoiding engagement with the underlying evidence. You don't have any evidence! You accused a man of rape with no evidence! I genuinely don't understand what the issue is. The Barbie report was grounded in documented facts and avoided name-calling or personal attacks. Yet Lio seemed to frame it as retaliation. I literally said I don't care what happened to Barbie in that. This raises a question. Is the expectation that only he gets to define a public narrative? Totally. Totally. And if others attempt to correct the record or clarify information about consent, harassment, and safety, do that somehow becomes a threat? Do that somehow becomes a threat? Do that somehow becomes a threat. Don't you mean does? Okay, what's a twink want? Oh, that was a different tag. Okay. Mac and cheese for $5. I checked if the website of your commercial is a real website. Bit cryptic. Yes, of course it's a real website. Why wouldn't it be? It's like that Invader Zim scene. And the things he do. Things he do. The purpose of these reports has never been to prove a specific... Oh, kill yourself. I'm not interested... Oh, hold here. Can we get... Why is... Oh, so this is all part of the thing. When public conversations dismiss or misrepresent these topics, it doesn't just affect the case. It reinforces harmful misunderstandings that can impact other victims. You don't care about other victims. You've never cared about victims. You care about yourself. I'm not interested in fighting Lio or escalating personal conflict. The goal here is simply to correct the record and ensure that discussions about harassment and trauma responses are informed by evidence rather than narrative convenience. Where's your evidence of the claim of rape? Where's the evidence for the rape? Any? No. Direct questions Lio fails to engage with post-Barbie report release. Was I asked them? No, but I apparently failed to engage them. Following the release of the Barbie report, Lio issued responses explaining his perspective and intentions. However, many of the core concerns raised were not directly answered. Instead of addressing specific factual issues, much of the response focuses on interpretation, disagreement, or personal reasoning. What other reasoning am I supposed to give you? The following questions remain unanswered. Did Lio share or confirm KP's private draft materials with third parties without our explicit permission? I confirmed one thing, which you knew. Did Lio inform KP that our materials were being discussed or reviewed outside their agreed collaboration? They weren't by me. You should be able to keep track of what's going on your own. You weren't. That's a you problem. Was there clear consent to record private conversations involving KP? I don't need your consent. Your consent is not a factor here. It is not necessary. I do not need it. You are a snake. And anytime I ever speak to you going forward, I will be recording it. If the recording was made for personal documentation or safety reasons, why was the public upload necessary? Because you're a liar! And because everybody needed to know who you are and what you do and how much of a snake you are. I was clear about why I uploaded it. Did Lio verify whether uploading the recording complied with privacy, legal, or publication laws before releasing it? You didn't with Aficionado Chris. Single party consent state. If you think I'm wrong, sue me. Why were sensitive sections including unrelated third parties not fully removed instead of partially censored? Why would I fully remove them? Oh, wait, I know why. I know why. It's because you lied in them. And you're mad you got caught in your lie. Why are legal and consent concerns addressed mainly through explanations of intent rather than direct factual clarification? Here's the factual clarification, you dumb cow. Open your ears. Maybe get somebody to clean them out with a Q-tip because you can't do it yourself. I'm in a single party consent state and I do what I want. You're a liar. You're a snake. And I was tired of you being a lying snake to my face. Why do these questions matter? Because you're hoping it does something. That's why. This is one of my favorite parts. All right? This is one of my favorite parts. Oh, God, what did he do? Have fun with your child porn generator. Thank you, Fishy. Thank you, Fishy. Why does that sound so robotic, though? This is my favorite part of the doc. Leaking and or hacking of private information. January and February 2026. Between January and February 2026, several incidents occurred involving the unauthorized access and dissemination of private materials associated with KP. These incidents include the apparent compromise of KP's DeviantArt account, during which the account was accessed without permission and all works was deleted. Don't you mean were deleted? Additionally, fraud attempts reported on KP's private bank account and private or unreleased materials were subsequently circulated online. Regarding the DeviantArt hack, KP noticed the account was additionally made to follow anthropomorphic animal/furry adjacent accounts. While this is not a direct connection at present, it is important to clarify overlapping evidence and known public information that Lio has a public association with these communities. No, I don't. If like a bunch of Transformer fans did this, I mean, maybe you can make that argument more rationally, but I'm not a furry. Proof of unauthorized DeviantArt access below. If you're seeing or someone reading this, I apologize for breaching into your account. I don't know this person. The heck? Ooh. Well, if it's an ATM withdrawal, what? That's your bank card. During the same time period, creative assets and private materials were not intended for public distribution, began appearing in external discussions and online content. These materials have not been released publicly by KP or to collaborating artists and were shared without consent from the individuals who created them. The circulation of unfinished or private work regarding a fan fiction adjacent project raises concerns regarding both unauthorized access and ethical handling of creative materials. $5 from Mac and Cheese. The old man that starts half his streams muted. Master hacker. True. Like, okay, I need to be really blunt here. I've had people accuse me of sending pizzas. I've had people accuse me of swatting. I've had people accuse me of hacking. And it's always people that have never, preyed on children. Just people I've been beefing with. So I want to make this very clear. If I haven't swatted or hacked a kid toucher, I'm not going to do it to somebody I'm just beefing with. All right? Stop being irrational, idiots. Now, what is it she's talking about here? Did I get these things because a bunch of furry hackers gave it to me? No. K-Huck gave it to me. Alex pointed me to where they would be. K-Huck gave them to me. How she got them, I don't know. Additional commentary about the scope of the work is incorrect, meaning Lio may have had limited access to the work and used incomplete information. Well, yeah, I just went by what Riddle said because I didn't have the video. When describing it and sharing it publicly, Lio responds to breach of assets below. How the F did you get access to that draft? I set that folder to private, and she was the only person I shared a link with. I said, I'm Batman. It was a joke. No, you're just a effing idiot. Which she took a screenshot of, and then immediately did this goofy drawing. Which, by the way, this is hers. Did you tell him lying and stealing was okay? I thought you did. KP, you're the thief here. Also, you don't want to use Batman as a good example of law behavior. He breaks laws all the time. And why is Jesus wearing a dress? You don't even believe in him. Shut up. At the time of the incident, there's overwhelming evidence former team member Alex Can't Play was the source of the breach. I mean, were you Alex? I don't remember. This access occurred due to files being mistakenly placed in a shared drive or environment that remained accessible through Alex via their prior permissions connected to the team or connections by a third party. Evidence of Alex's involvement in leaking materials suggested in this livestream archived here. I think it was Alex who sent me something else that's rather interesting. Happened on the 9th. Additionally, Alex requested files during around the time of the leak of lines when the leak occurred. And? Oh, so you were. Okay. Whatever. I don't care. Additional statements that Alex on Twitter supports contact with Lio. Boo-hoo, we talk. Please note, this interaction assumes private information was gathered via DMCA. To file a police report as discussed below. That was incorrect. KP filed one to seek legal consultation instead, which is not the purpose of a DMCA. You committed perjury. You stupid snake! You could have just used the address at any time. You didn't need to file a DMCA. Now you've just proven that you'll maliciously do something like that. You have broken YouTube's TOS, and I hope they take you down for it. Presently, there are concerns that other forms of private information may have been exposed, including potential financial or identifying information associated with the company. I have no clue about any of that. I don't care either. While the full scope of what information may have been accessed or recovered remains unclear, the possibility that personal data or account information was obtained further increases the seriousness of the incident, as shown from the debate. I had nothing to do with that. I don't know how to do any of that. And just because your fan fiction was leaked around the same time doesn't mean they're related. Good Lord. Why this is serious? Okay, it is serious to have your bank account messed with. I'm not going to argue that one. Why doesn't KP just go to the police? KP has already tried, sad face. KP has made multiple attempts to pursue formal reporting, including reporting behavior related to information discussed in the Barbie report due to legitimate safety concerns. Barbie wasn't doxing you. She wasn't swatting you. What safety concerns? And to establish a formal It's amazing how she goes to the cops about people are mean on the internet, but couldn't get somebody to go to the cops about, I don't know, the rape accusations? Interesting. These instances highlight limitations. Yes, we all know. We all know. Yep. What is Lio aware of regarding reporting online crimes? More than you are. A. There is no direct evidence to determine Lio's level of awareness regarding the practical limitations of reporting online or cyber-related incidents to law enforcement. Actually, there's plenty of it. I've been pretty clear about it constantly. It's unlikely to do anything, but you still need to do it. But it's assumed Lio has a general understanding of the difficulties facing reporting online crimes to U.S. police, as opposed to the German police. Idiot. Traditionally, the idea of directing online-facing users to the police is to gauge whether potential victims were engaged with filing real-life-facing information in regards to online issues. This implies seriousness of this escalation sometimes dissuades people from pursuing claims. Then shut up. Do it. Just file the doggone complaint. Additional pattern analysis. You don't know pattern analysis. If you knew pattern analysis, you wouldn't be putting this crap out. So this allows reasons for originally doubling, Emily Jones were based on these reservations because she did not file a police report directly. Yeah, she didn't. And she should have. Like I told her to. Like I told both of you to. But neither of you had the brains to pay attention to dick all that you're being told to do. Because God forbid you do what you're told to do. Because that makes sense. And we can't have sense making here. Now can we, sport? This is so unspeakably ridiculous. I hate it. Let me double check something. Sorry, I just gotta double check something here real quick. Blinky Iris for $5. Thank you. Why is she like this? Who dropped her on her head as a kid? They played hacky sack with her as a kid. That's what happened there. Sorry, just double checking something. The police in the U.S. laughed her away. I'm sure they did. But either way, she thinks a law has been broken. She should file a police report. Like, that's just what you should do. Especially if it's rape. Which she was told to do. And didn't do. Why didn't she do it? Because that takes effort. We can't have effort. Not in this household. Anywho. It's extremely disappointing to see Lau resort to using privately leaked assets to publicly criticize or mock me. Too bad. regardless of the commentary around them. Those materials are outdated. Nobody cares. And we're not public. Who cares? We're not intended for distribution. Not to mention the sheer guesswork about other circumstances. Why do you care about that? I do not care about the criticism that falls within fair use, but using non-public creative work in this way raises serious ethical concerns, and it risks crossing into harassment. Oh my god. When private files are circulated due to score points in an online dispute, that's not why I did it. I did it to point out that you are incompetent in everything you do. Oh no, I gotta double check something in one of these sections. Just a moment. Alright, just wanted to make sure of something. Alright. Earlier complaints in DMCA filings were submitted primarily to document the use of these materials and create a record of how they were being circulated. You could have done that without a DMCA. DMCAs try to take things down. That's a lie. You're a liar. The purpose was transparency and accountability, not retaliation or reputation management. That's also untrue. Tell your little friends. DMCAs do not create paper trails for something being distributed. Keeping them up would have. Can commentary on leaked material raise legal concerns even if the leak is already circulated? Yup, sad face. Under U.S. copyright law, distribution or public display of copyrighted material without authorization may still constitute infringement. May still. May. What's there? What's that say there? May. Not does. Pattern analysis at this point. Escalation and narrative control. The observable pattern suggests Lyle's response was influenced by perceived challenge to his position. Following... What? No, you're just an idiot. Subsequently, the issue was framed publicly in a manner that reinforces a singular narrative, which may function to maintain control over how the situation is interpreted, limit further challenge or scrutiny, and stabilize audience perception. People can do their own research. Doesn't matter. Why am I tagged in a billion different things? Oh! Gallagher's doing more Brian Mullins. Nice. Nice return to form. This is all asinine. Filed DMCA notice for stolen assets and legal counsel sought. KP filed a DMCA takedown notice regarding the video that contained leaked and privately held materials associated with unrelated work. To be clear, the purpose of filing the DMCA was not to suppress criticism or commentary, but to create a formal record and paper trail documenting the unauthorized and potentially illegal use of distribution of private materials. No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Actually, she didn't do that, Soda. Response to transformative use claims in DMCA counter notice. In his DMCA counter notice, Lio argued the video qualifies as transformative work under fair use. Because it does. I don't know why she did this. Everybody knows my docs. Fair use is a legal doctrine under U.S. copyright law that allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission from the rights holder for specific purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. Fair use is not automatically granted. It is a case-by-case determination based on how these factors are balanced. Transformative. What is transformative use? Transformative use refers to a form of fair use in which the original material is used in a way that adds new meaning, purpose, or expression rather than simply reproducing it. It typically applies in contexts such as commentary, criticism. So it was. Is transformative applicable here? Nope. Thank you, BFMA, for $5. If your video was meant to keep silence, KP, I wish it worked the same. Transformative use is a subset of fair use, and fair use does not apply to stolen private materials obtained without authorization. Prove it. Because it's not here. The threshold issue is not whether the material was transformed or whether it was lawfully accessible to be used at all. Also not true. People are talking about the new Avatar movie, regardless of the fact that it was leaked. And you know what's happening? Nothing. Where material originates from a private or restricted context, fair use protections are significantly limited. Where's your case law on that? What about the changes made? Such changes do not alter the underlying issue. Even if the format of the material is modified, the relevant concern is that the content originates from primarily privately sourced, non-public material. Brother, she does not like the idea of what news outlets do when information gets leaked. If this was anywhere close to true, we wouldn't have news reporting agencies. She is such a dishonest snake. What about the use of additional copyrighted characters? This distinction is not applicable in the same way. Fair use analysis typically applies to publicly available or lawfully accessible material. Actually, no, it can be anything. The use of copyrighted characters in commentary or critique is often evaluated under that context. Additional concerns, like the use of sharing original artwork, undermine this point entirely. When material is derived from private, leaked, or restricted sources, the issue is not simply copyright transformation, it is whether the material is appropriate to use at all. Actually, that's not at all the case, but okay, you dumb broad. Does Alex's prior access to the Steam material make it legal to share with Lio? Nope. Good thing he didn't then. Does it still count as stealing a material came from a secondary source? I.e. Lio did not steal the file directly. Yep. Where's your case law? Where's your case law? Where's your case law? Where's your case law? Where is it? Where is it? Obtaining material through yada 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 yada. Illustrator example. Somebody hands you a key and you were not supposed to have. Using that key to enter a locked space does not make the entry authorized. It simply adds another step to how the access was obtained. I didn't use a key to enter anything. I didn't use somebody to gain access to something. I just owned the key. I didn't go anywhere with it. Thank you, Oscar Moran, for the $5. How much of the safety report is left, Lio? We are on page 89 of 121. As a contextual example, similar dynamics can be observed in widely publicized media leaks, such as the unauthorized release of footage related to the upcoming Avatar: The Last Airbender adaptations. In such cases, it is important to distinguish between discussion of a leak and how a leak material... whatever. Generally permissible conduct includes discussing the existence of the leak, analyzing its potential implications, commenting on production, distribution, or broader industry impact. Legally sensitive or restricted conduct includes sharing clips. That's not true. They are all over the place. Nothing's happened and nothing's going to happen. It's not illegal to talk about something. Good Lord. And of course, they're not taking her seriously either. Gee, I wonder why. Oh boy, oh boy. Additional concerning behavior. Podcast escalation followed the leak incident. March 13, 2026. Following the initial situation involving KP, Lio participated in a public contest discussion where the conflict was further escalated through direct commentary. Escalated. People talking about you is not escalation, you dumb broad. The discussion begins coverage of copyright strikes issued against Lio. The sharing of KP's private creative ideas. Speculations about KP's motive and actions. Yeah, I can talk about you. Get over it. You're a blank. I don't cuss. So who is this? Because it ain't me. No one is on your side. No one. True. Nobody is. No one with a brain is on your side. Also true. References to KP as vindictive and self-destructing. Because you are. Statements implying she is incapable of being helped or taken seriously. Also true. Go get a life. You are on your own. Also true. You don't like these things because they're true. Demeaning language. Nobody's going to take you seriously because you made a fool of yourself, you idiot. What is all this crybaby garbage? This dumb clown would not last a week in my shoes. Why might Lio be acting this way? Because you're insane and you made rape claims without any evidence. Fear of potential legal consequences. Sue me, ho. As the situation escalated, questions about privacy, consent, and copyright emerged. Lio may have prioritized protecting himself from profitable liability or situation with disputed. No, because I sent you a counter notification. Amazing how you didn't take me to court over it. Concern over reputational damage. Public controversy surrounding the video and related allegations may have been created pressure to distance themselves from outcomes. I couldn't care less. The problem was you're wrong. And you're a stubborn mule. Desire to control or stabilize the narrative. None of that exists either. Breakdown of trust and communication. Yeah. You lost my trust when you kept lying. When you kept refusing to retract a statement you know is false. Self-protected decision-making under stress. Brother, I never concerned myself with self-protected decision-making. Also, this is pussy behavior she would do. Anticipated post-publication response patterns from Lio. Fanfiction time. Remember, I can't talk about speculation, but Lord knows she can. Based on prior behavior and framing patterns observed through the report, the following potential response patterns to be aware of following publication. These are not definitive predictions, but tools for evaluating how information may be presented. Reframing evidence as miscommunication or guidance. What it is, recasting documented accounts, actions as misunderstandings, guidance, or attempts to help. I did try to help you. You rejected it, and now we're here. What to look for. Reframing behavior as supportive or advisory. No. Downplaying intent behind actions. No, I told you exactly why I did what I did. Positioning interactions as informal or harmless. Also didn't do that. Potential quotes to look for. This was just a miscommunication. I was just trying to help. This was taken the wrong way. This wasn't meant like that. This is guidance. This woman didn't know dick all about me. So here's a personal quote you can look for. You're an idiot, and you deserve everything you get. Emphasis on emotional or interpersonal conflict. Potential quotes to look for. This is just dumb interpersonal drama. This is a misunderstanding between people. This is being made too personal. This is just conflict between individuals. Never said any of that either. This didn't need to go that far. Yeah, you shouldn't have accused somebody of rape. This shouldn't be a legal issue. What? This could have been handled privately. What? Bringing this into formal channels is overkill. What? This is retaliatory. I mean, it is. She's using DMC as to punish people. You did. You literally filed a legal notice against Hidden Heroine. You could very well harm the fact that she's trying to make entry into the United States legally. Because you got butt mad, you got criticized. For that alone, you should be removed from the census. This is being used to silence criticism. You tried, you failed. This is abuse of the system. It is, and you admitted to it. This is meant to shut people up. You can try. This is damaging to my reputation. None of this, Doc, is damaging to me. Because all of it's nonsense. This could ruin someone. You are trying to ruin people's lives because you got criticized. Your parents should have aborted you. This shouldn't have been made public. This is going too far. Partial acknowledgement without direct... I'm not interested in resolving anything with you. You want to have an argument? Hop in Thunderdome. Otherwise, shut your mouth. It's so dumb. Questioning KP's perspective. You have no perspective or credibility is worth anything. None. Dismissal through AI or process-based claims. Oh, she is so butt mad about the fact that people call out the fact that she doesn't do anything on her own. She is so unspeakably butt mad about that. Who is this? What is this about? What in the world? I don't know what this person's going on about. Anywho. Reframing through selective context. Your mom's selective context. Minimization of action. Oh no, I own everything I do and I will not apologize for it. This is so stupid. She doesn't understand how this works. She hasn't experienced. She doesn't know. She doesn't. You don't. You know nothing. Potential evidence of good faith engagement from Lio. Direct engagement with specific claims rather than broader. This is so dishonest. This is all snake behavior. KP, you couldn't hack an actual conversation with me. It's why you require AI and other people to do your work for you. You're a giant baby. A giant baby. There's something I'm specifically trying to find. I don't know where it is here. But I will find it. Behavior to watch for Lio in private spaces. I will steal all of your Transformers. The following points identify patterns to be aware of in private or semi-private spaces after the release of the report, including Discord servers, direct messages, group chats, and voice calls. These are included to help recognize behavior that may affect consent, clarity, and boundaries, and accurate representation. Conversations being recorded, saved, or later reused. Private discussions may later be referenced, summarized, or turned into public content, even if they were originally presented as informal or private. Own what you say. Or shut up. Reframing of what was said. Statements may later be repeated back in a way that changes their meaning, removes context, or shifts the original concern into a different narrative. So you're just making things up. Okay. Movement from private discussion into a group setting. A one-on-one concern may suddenly become a multi-person conversation, group call, or server discussion, which changes the pressure and control to the interaction. You can just say no. When I bring other people into something, it's usually to get different perspectives on something. Right? For the most part. Stop acting like you got touched. Okay? You weren't. Adding other people into voice or text conversations without clear agreement. Participants may be brought in. This is because I added Hidden to the call we're going to have because she wanted an answer from Hidden, and I can't give her an answer because I'm not Hidden. Suddenly, she's acting like I forced her into an alleyway. Use of private or contextual information is leverage. Information shared in a limited setting may later be used to support arguments, narratives, or public position beyond the original If anybody were to ever be dumb enough to date this woman, they will be miserable. Acknowledging concerns without actually addressing them. A person may appear willing to engage, compromise, or hear you out, but the actual concerns, especially around consent, legality, or ethics, may never be directly answered. Why answer a question you never asked? Switching formats when it benefits the other side. Communication may shift from text to voice or from one platform to another in ways that make documentation harder to create more or create ambiguity. What is wrong with you? Are you KP? Are you on crack? Is your team on crack, or is it fentanyl? What is this schizo posting, for lack of a better word? Like actually lack of grasping reality. I don't mean that as in the pejorative. I mean as in, are you actually schizophrenic? Because this makes no sense. Pressure through informality. A conversation may be framed as casual, friendly, or low stakes, while still involving issues that have serious legal, reputation, or safety implications. Okay, fine. Going forward, I'm just going to grill you every single time. I will make sure you are well aware that there is pressure and that it's going to be ugly each and every time. Only 4 minutes left on the goal, chat. Thank you, CC Move, for $5. Holy yapperoni, KP. The keyboard was abused for this garbage doc. Yes, and so was GPT. 4 minutes to get 2 more in, so you can see the kitty once more. Testing of boundaries. If a concern is raised clearly, such as not wanting a conversation recorded or refused, watch for whether that concern is actually respected or simply talked around. If you're being screwy, you should worry about being recorded. If you're not being screwy, you shouldn't worry about it. It's not hard. Selective cooperation. Everybody is cooperative selectionally. Like, nobody is 100% always that. It's always selective. Idiot. There may be a willingness to engage on side issues, but not to the core point. This can create the appearance of openness without real clarification, aka more gish galloping. Use of private spaces to shape narrative control. What? In servers, DMs, or group chats, the environment itself may favor one side's framing. Yeah, welcome to human nature. Womp womp. Making it hard for others. Shut up. Soft private tone followed by harder public framing. Okay, cool. Going forward, I will never be soft with you. I will never use a kind voice to try to convince you of something. I'm just going to rip your throat out. Triangulation between people. Totally. Information that may move between parties is the way that creates confusion about who said what. That's not what triangulation means. If you're going to use therapy speak, use it correctly. Applied insurance that do not lead to resolution. There can't be a resolution unless everybody agrees on something and you refuse to retract what you were saying. What's the purpose of this section? So you can cry. What happens now? KP has purposely paused litigation discussion to prevent escalation. Additionally, UK police may be contacted in relation to Alex's sharing of unauthorized and private material. Thank you, Kathy Austin, for $5. Kitty, true. We need one more. One more, and you will see Kitty again. $5, and you will see Kitty. But KP is also not pursuing it in this time in order to prevent further escalation. Yes, be grateful, Alex. Despite public perception, I don't really want Lio and or Alex to have lasting consequences. Filling out these forms and documentation is time-consuming and annoying, and I would rather all parties have time to reflect. I know religion is important to Lio, and by pausing things, I'm trying to be kind. Judgment begins at the house of God. That's a terrible thing to fall into the hands of an angry living God. And you really shouldn't be bearing false witness against somebody. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Also, KP, you're not going to sue me. You're not going to sue anybody. You literally don't have the money for it. Your parents are comfortable, but they're not well off. And Lord knows you don't have the money to sue somebody. So anytime you want to get froggy, jump. Ha! We have reached the goal. It is kitty time. Yes. Let's finish this. Lio is publicly advised to remove any potential illegal material to avoid further potential litigation risk. Sue me. Sue me or shut up, ho. What happens now? You'll come back in 6 months. Somebody just needs to shake this woman. Statements from KP regarding trust and future recommendation of Lio. Oh no, I'm not going to have her clearance. Oh, Lord help me. At this point, I no longer feel comfortable recommending Lio as a source of support, guidance, or mediation for individuals who may be dealing with sensitive or potentially harmful situations online. While I believe his intentions may have been influenced by fear of legal consequences, not on your life, community instability, or belief that he was helping manage a difficult situation, sharing files without my consent or recording me without my consent was still a breach of trust. I urge people to reach out to professional organizations and individuals instead. You're not professional. No, I should trust you. You screwed this all up because you want to make a joke of things. And because you want a revenge because a dude spurned you. Spare me. Yap, 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 yap. Oh, great. This is great. Additionally, Lio's continued framing of my responses as unstable, because you are, or purely emotional is, at minimum, inappropriate and dismissive, and at worst, reflects misogynistic assumptions about women's reactions to conflict. I get on to men for it, too. And I get on to them so much more. The dynamic also crossed into parentification and patronization, because you act like a child! All the time! Positioning my decision was irrational, while elevating his own judgment is inherently more reasonable. Yeah, because I said go to the cops. That is more reasonable. Idiot. This is uncomfortable and unacceptable. Yeah, baby didn't get her way. Obviously. Lio has no basis to treat me as though I were incapable of making informed decisions or to attribute my actions to emotional instability rather than legitimate concerns about my privacy, safety, and consent. You piss on a couch while high. You let your dog lick your genitals. You don't take care of your pet. Everything has to be Disney-themed. No, I was 100% correct. Matt, I should have treated you more like the child you are. I should have told you to shut up. Go to your room without Lady and the Tramp dinner. Yep. Are we almost done? Please, are we almost done? Clarification note. In response to criticism regarding recording without explicit consent, comparisons may be drawn to a prior instance in which KP recorded a call without aficionado Chris. This comparison does not fully account for the context in which that recording occurred. The interaction took place amid repeated sexual misconduct claims involving KP that had not been clearly communicated or directly clarified to her, which she became aware of through third-party reporting rather than direct disclosure. These claims had been directly communicated or acknowledged prior to KP becoming aware of them through the recording had been. The need for recording may have been reevaluated. AKA, it's okay if I do it, but not you. It wasn't a sexual thing. She passed out and the dog went to town. Given the seriousness of such allegations, the recording was understood to be a protective measure in response to safety-related concerns. Well, no, it wasn't. Go listen to that. Go listen to it. Go listen to it. Go listen to that call. There was no safety-related concerns. And then you lied about it. You lied about it. Based on patterns of alleged behavior outlined in this report. Alleged? Interesting terminology now. Including consistent related concerns, handling of private information, communication boundary issues, escalation of conflicts, and public reframing of private interactions, individuals are advised to exercise caution or cease contact when engaging in direct or private communications with Lao. So isolate me. Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kale. In particular, there is a risk with conversation may be recorded, misrepresented, or shared. If the context is there, people can make their own determinations. You just don't like the fact that they know you're wrong. I don't know if she was naked or not. Probably not. So if you guys want to let everybody on the staff know how stupid she is, use that email. I don't care anymore. I just don't. I do not care. She will reap as she has sowed. We have been at this for 3 hours. I have more work to do before I go to bed. So I am now going to sign off. I thank you all for joining me. I hope you guys start watching the Mecha May content I keep putting out. There's more to come, and we'll see what happens later on. But for now, I am going to leave. I never claimed... Okay, I'll be very clear here. Very clear. To my knowledge, she passed out on the couch. She was fully clothed. This is during the time when she apparently had vaginosis or whatever it was. I accidentally clicked the wrong thing. Anyways, where she allegedly had vaginosis or whatever. And the dog started licking. And Riddle had to stop the dog. But now I'm actually going to send you out. I'll catch you guys later.
Don't miss the super androids that fly on wings of silver and fight with nerves of steel. The mighty Silver Hawks.
Afternoons at 4.
Thundercats! Ho! Thunder excitement is flying at you this fall when the Thundercats tear into action.
Let's cut those mutants down to size.
Get ready to strike a blow for justice this fall with the mighty Thundercats.
Lupin!
Lupin! That man is a notorious thief who works all over the world!
Let's go meet this treasure that's soon to be ours.
Don't say that I didn't warn you.
Stop that woman! You can't fool me! You're planning something again!
Cheese Pops can't get anything past you.
He'll steal your heart, and then he's coming for everything else. Lupin the Third, premiering next Saturday night at 2.
Take it off.
That'll be my pleasure.
Only Toonami on a...
ビーストウォーズセカンド最大の敵がついに目覚めたライオコンボイ変身新司令官の登場だガルバトロントランスフォーム破壊大帝脅威の三段変形ライオン台風史上最大の対決に君も参加せよだからトランスフォーマービーストウォーズ
If one is born a man, at least once in his life, he will dream of becoming the strongest man alive.
Are you surprised at all? This is Orochi-style karate.
That's it, baby. Come straight for me.
Your training has paid off most impressively. I'd be happy to reward you now for all the progress you've made. He could never recall your What an adorable little playground you have here.
Maki the Grappler.
You have accessed the secret files of the SWAT Cats. Name, automatic cement launcher. Function, launches pre-mixed fast-drying cement at the rate of 5,000 GPM, glots per minute. Very effective at freezing monsters right in their tracks. Ending transmission. You have accessed the secret files of the SWAT Cats. Name, Jake Clausen. Occupation, garage mechanic. Alias, Razor. Real job, SWAT Cat. Designs gadgets to capture bad guys. Goal, protection of Mega Cat City. Favorite expression, bingo. Ending transmission.
Meet St. Canard's Most Wanted.
Eat wanted, Starkling!
There's Megavolt, Criminal Circuit Breaker.
It's playtime!
Quacker Jack, Fiendish Felon. Bushroot, Experiment Gone Haywire.
I'm really not sinister, just misunderstood.
And Diabolical Evildoer, Negaduck.
A rotten kind of guy!
And only one superhero can stop them.
The original, Mr. Fix-It! Get up!
Darkwing Duck.
A new Optimus Prime is here.
I'll transform Optimus! Power Master Optimus Prime, greatest leader of his time.
It's great to be back.
Now, Optimus Prime is back as a Power Master. He only transforms when his Nebulon becomes his engine.
Power Master Optimus Prime! Look! Optimus is transforming into a super robot!
Power Master Transformers! They've got the power to surprise!
The Earth lies shattered and broken. A ruined wasteland that is now struggling to sustain life. Humanity is near the end after a devastating global meltdown. The oceans have been boiled away in nuclear fire. The land is charred and disfigured, saturated with deadly toxins. Life is a nightmarish struggle. The radiation levels have created hideous, mutated human savages. Mentally deranged, they roam in search of food and water. Gruesome violence brings terrible death to those who encounter these murderous mutants. It is an orgy of chaos, madness on a global scale. Savagery knows no limits. There are no nations, no laws, no order. In this grim reality, the forces of good and evil are once more preparing to fight for the future of mankind. Far, far away, a star shines out from the blackness of space. A beacon for the lost, a symbol of hope, an unfailing comfort to those on a journey. Known as the North Star, it has, through the ages, meant many things to many men. Under this eternal light walks the namesake of this star, a man of power and purity. A living beacon of hope, destined to bring light into the darkness. He is a feared man, spoken of in hushed tones. A legendary fighter, able to call on secret powers. Violence is met with worse violence as Ken destroys the forces of his evil half-brother. Heads roll, bodies fall, and the earth runs red as Ken draws ever nearer to Shin's stronghold in the city of the Southern Cross. The scene is set for an epic struggle between good and evil. What Shin started cannot be stopped. Many will die trying. Many will run. But there is only one Fist of the North Star.